Gnomes in cars.
Gnomes.
Gnomes in cars.
In cars.
Gnomes in cars. Gnomes in cars.
In cars. Gnomes.
Gnomes.
In cars.
In cars.
Gnomes in cars.
Gnomes in cars. Gnomes in... Right, stop. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
We're not sure if that's our theme tune or not because we're not sure how annoying it is. We don't get annoyed by it, you see. But I don't think that's the litmus test.
It might be a lot of annoyance.
So you might need to tell us out of 10 how annoying is our new theme tune, Gnomes in Cars. We'll take a poll. If it's really annoying, we won't do it again. We've already lost 3. We lost 3. So I'm taking that for it's very annoying.
Yeah, but we've retained 7. So if you're talking about a democratic vote,
oh, that's true.
7 out of 10.
It's something like 70% or something.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good maths.
Woody likes it.
Cheers, Woody.
Hi, Ben. Ben, you just... Oh, we've lost another one. Ben, we just thought we'd do our Gnomes in Cars theme tune. And, oh, it's Ben. Nobody liked it. Nobody liked it. If it wasn't annoying, if it wasn't somehow annoying, it wouldn't be fun. Are you trying to say it was annoying? Ben's coming in. We're going to add Ben. And also we got Nick coming in. Ben's back.
Hello, how are you?
Yes.
Ben's on holiday in the Bahamas. That was.
It looks like it, doesn't it? Yes, it's
We've
beautiful.
got to do something with when we have guests, we have to put earphones on.
Oh shoot!
It's fine. Right, Ben, I'm going to mute me. You say hello to everybody as if it's your show, and we'll sort our problem out.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Panmo TV. Not. My name is Bellamy Jones, and I'm here with the Crafty Nihilist. I'm here with the Crafty Nihilist, and we're here because we had a really wonderful time. Was it on Tuesday, on Thursday? It was wonderful, fantastic. We went to see David Icke live, and I've written a report on the Panmo show. Sorry, on the Panmo Voice blog. And so I really want to say big hello to everyone who's here. So we have Woody Black. We've got Green Tea. We've got Whisperin. Hello, Whisperin. How do you do? Linda Warbley. And, of course, who else is here? Let's have a look. Who else as well? And myself. Hello. How you doing? David. We'll talk about more when we're here. And I like the background. It's actually a place called Diego Garcia. So it's a lovely, beautiful island in the Indian Ocean where you're not allowed to go because it's a secret military base. It's got a lot of secrets there, so yeah. I don't know how many of you have been to this new reveal tour that David is doing, but he's appearing at many other locations around the country. Most of them are sold out, but there are still a few. I know someone who's recently bought a ticket to go and see him in Birmingham. So I think there are a few seats there. There are about 400 people in Oxford at the venue, which I will not reveal the location of the venue. Hello, Shepopop. How are you? I will not divulge the venue, the location, because it's possible the organisers might want to use it again. And hello, DJ B2. And there'll be, if there are any venues and locations and hosts that are willing to allow David in and not give in to the intimidation of people trying to silence him by disrupting the venues. And threatening them into cancelling him, then they will want to hang on to those hosts and value them. As a result, I'm not going to tell you where we went to, but it was a very nice facility in Oxford City. There were some really good facilities there, support facilities and things like that, places you could buy food and drink and stuff like that, toilets, etc. And it was a comfortable location, a comfortable area. The sound quality wasn't the best; could have been better. But generally speaking, on the practical side, on the housekeeping side, it was quite a well-organised event. I know someone who went there who's partly deaf and couldn't hear a damn thing. Well, it's slightly different format to the last time I went to see David, which was it was actually in 2018 I last went to see him up in Newcastle. And this is slightly different. In this particular venue, it was a slightly different... what happened was there was a slightly different format. What is it? David came in and he sat down. He didn't just do like a solo monologue with slides like he normally does. He came in and he sat down. It was a sit-down interview with Jamie, his son, who was also his tour manager, and it included a discussion where David gave a very long, detailed answer, and then a Q&A from the audience. However, the Q&A was there was only time for about 5 questions because David, of course, then gives very, very long, detailed answers. So the whole event was 3 hours. Very, very good, I thought. Yeah. So I don't know if the crafties are ready to join me. I can hear you.
Yeah, but can you hear you? Because we don't want you to. We don't want echoes.
All right, you're a little bit indistinct in this. Your voice is a little bit low.
What about now?
Still a slightly poor quality. I don't know what mic you're using. Whether you changed your mic.
We've got big mic.
Right, slightly. It's a bit sort of like potato mic you've got. It's quite low quality mic you've got there. You are audible and you are understandable, but the mic quality's dropped.
Didn't have it on. That's why, Ben.
That's it. Well done. Yeah, that's it. You've got it on now.
Can you
yeah,
hear
cool.
you? Because if you can, I'll just pause it every time because we haven't got.
Hear
right.
me? Let me just. I'll have to go to the. I'll just have to go and check. Hang on.
Is Ben echoing? Is everything all right, or is it all a bit echoey?
I'll have to, yeah, I can hear myself. Yeah, I can hear myself. I've just got. Right. I just checked by listening to the live stream. Yeah.
Perfect. Fantastic.
Green Cheese asked if David has been banned. I haven't heard of David being banned from any of the venues on this particular tour. That could be to do with the operational security that his management team have. We only found out about where the location was 24 hours before. And as I've said, I'm not going to divulge where that location was in case David wants to use it again. Any host that actually really, really stands by David and stands up to anyone trying to stop him should be valued, and David might want to come back to that particular venue. So I'm not going to tell you where it was. It's very nice place.
Yeah, it was nice. It was really nice.
Yeah.
And they were really friendly people. And I was always I wanted to ask the security guards that were listening if they were into it, because they must have been, had a red pill shoved down their neck by the end of the night, because they were in there the whole time, weren't they?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it does happen. I mean, occasionally I've been to events like this, like the one I did with Nick Holostrom in Newcastle, where I first went there, where, the bar, the bar staff, he was actually pretty good. He became quite, what's the word? The barman became quite kind of like into it. It became quite into it.
Well, I'm hoping that's what happened, to be honest. But, the whole atmosphere was just lovely, wasn't it? There was a really nice atmosphere. And I think that's why we wanted to talk about it. I just want to say hello to people in the chat. Hi everybody. Hi Linda. Hi DJ. Hi Woody. Hi Green Tea. And we've got, I won't mention his name, but our friend Whisperoon. He's our friend in real life, and he's got a new channel. And if you guys want to subscribe to him, when he gets his videos up, he's going to be very interested indeed. He's very informative. He knows a lot of things. Yeah. So give Whisperoon a little subscribe if you fancy it, guys.
Cool. Welcome.
Hi Sheepopop. Sheepopop. Is that how you say it? Anyway, if I've missed you, sorry. But hello everybody. Sorry about the technical issues, but it's us, isn't it?
An inimitable style.
You don't come here for professionalism.
Thanks for diving in, Ben, to,
you're
very professional welcome. You are.
Yeah.
And we're not.
Oh, it's really great. I can't stay for too long, but I'd love to talk to you for a while about about that wonderful time we had on Thursday. It was great. I'm so glad I went, and it was great. You've seen David live again after how many years now? 7 years or so, but also meeting up with everyone around. I met up with you. There was Tony was there, and Mark Devlin. Well, I spoke to him briefly, and Tajinder Gill and my friends, and it was. I don't know if you read my report. I've written a report on a panel of voice. I've published a load of photographs that were taken there. As you can see, I'm really, really happy.
Yeah, we absolutely loved it. And how friendly was Jamie? It was so. Hi, Neil. Jamie Icke was so friendly, wasn't he?
Neil.
He was absolutely lovely. Gareth wasn't there, unfortunately. The last time we went to see David, Gareth actually played the guitar, didn't he? That was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Ben said, it was different this time because usually he's high energy and he's running around the stage. He was a bit poorly, had a cold, and so it was just absolutely lovely. He just sat down in a chair, and Jamie was there, and they kind of interviewing him, and it was hilarious because Jamie said, Well, I say I'm going to interview him. We say it's question and answer, but in reality, I'm going to ask him a question, and then 45 minutes later, he might answer it. And that's exactly what happened, wasn't it, Ben?
Yeah, it was not really. I mean, it was nice that maybe 4 people in the audience got to answer a question, but of course, David is so packed with information. And I mean, despite the fact, he's clearly older than he used to be, as we all end up being eventually, if we're lucky enough to
72,
live
isn't he,
that
Ben?
long. He's
72,
72.
73 or something?
He is 72. He was born April 1952, so he is
Mm.
72. And he is still, I can still sense, despite the fact that maybe he's not up to standing up for that length of time anymore, I can still sense what I always did whenever I've met him, because I've met him a few times and spoken to him privately. He's got this hamster wheel, or multiple hamster wheels going around in his head of
Yeah.
information. You can see it in his eyes. His eyes are sort of like wide and darting around all the time. And that hasn't changed. He still has that, and what you can tell by the way he talks, his style of speech and his eloquence and his delivery of information has not deteriorated at all.
Not at all, because when he sat down and he was sort of just saying hi to everybody, you could tell he didn't feel very well. He didn't sound well. After 25 minutes, he sounded like he always ever. It was almost like, not that he was channeling something, but it was almost like his energy, talking about the subjects, rejuvenated him, and his actual illness or whatever it was seemed to disappear, didn't it? It was like, oh, he's back. He's just sat down.
He always seems to be that kind of character, actually, the kind of person who, in a sense, he's almost like a I don't know what the word is. You mentioned channel. I don't know what the official word is, where you essentially basically take information that just comes straight into your head and you blurt it out. He doesn't. I've never seen him using a script. I've never seen him like going through bullet points or anything like that. He sort of knows it, and he just relates it. I mean, I think his career in television maybe taught him to do that, because he's naturally very much an introvert. He likes his own. He's not like he doesn't like getting into long conversations with people very often. His favourite pastime is simply to go for long walks around the Isle of Wight countryside near where he lives, and on his own. But his TV career taught him that to be articulate, to be an articulate speaker. And I think once he'd done that, that's when he lost his TV career, because it was no longer necessary, because that was not his purpose in life.
Yeah, there was just, like I say, this is our third one, and the others have been high energy, informative, and this one was, but there was something different about this one, and it was warmer. I don't know if it was because he was sat down, and it just felt like we were having a chat in the living room, but there was something about the energy of the crowd, because Nick, who's coming in a bit later, I don't think he'll mind me saying, because he said on the live stream last night, me and Nick had a conversation before we went in, and we both kind of had a bit of a black pill experience the whole of last week. We were both feeling a little bit down in the dumps, and both of us, after that experience and being with that audience and the energy from the audience, I think we just came away feeling so hopeful and just like really lifted. And Nick even used the word cleansed. He felt cleansed after it, and it was just so hi, Rhiannon. It was just such a different.
Hi, how you doing?
Different energy. It was still David Icke informative, but there was something. I don't know. More. I don't want to say more mature as in David Icke's immature, but there was like almost like a evolved, or do you know what I mean? It was like a different kind of stage.
Well, yeah. Well, I think it sort of exemplifies one of the points he was making. He said, he himself and everyone, no one's awake, but people can be awakening. So it's not even he, saying, "Oh, I'm not like I know everything." There's always more to learn. There's always something more to find out, more information. So. Maybe it's just like that, but he's getting into this old age now, and it's a sort of a wisdom of the years, as well as all of his knowledge that he keeps learning about, and it's a constant process of awakening and learning new things, and a different stage, and
it was just delivered in a slightly different way. It was almost like you were listening to your grandfather. Do you know what I mean? It was you know what I mean, Ben?
Yes, I do. Hello, Rhiannon. It's great to Rhiannon's here, because someone I know very well who, and I know exactly what you mean. In fact, I wrote, because I've been up and down over the years, and David talked about a lot of things which are depressing and worrying. For example, he talks about the graphene oxide. This is a chemical. At the end, he talked about graphene oxide. This is a chemical you find in the C word, V words. You know what I mean? And also, this is connected. He believes this because it's a conductor of electromagnetic radiation. It could be used by, for example, the HARP system and the old bunch of 5 grapes, which we're not allowed to say on YouTube, the mobile phone network that's coming in. And he brought up Ray Kurzweil, who's a promoter of transhumanism, which we could end up as some kind of cyborg, kind of like intelligent robot linked to AI and things like that. But David said, we've got to watch out for what he called an emotional blitzkrieg, which I think we're already in, which is basically where we've been being bombarded by everything to depress us and to demoralize us. As Andy Thomas, I mustn't get those two mixed up. Andy Thomas said that everything's designed to break our spirit. But, and I just want to read you what I wrote here when he just talks about the emotional blitzkrieg. This is on Hapanwo Voice, my news blog, which I wrote a report 2 days. I wrote yesterday a report about this. I think we're already in this emotional blitzkrieg. It's a frightening prospect, but I felt comforted because I was in a room with over 400 comrade souls facing it with them together. I am not alone. So that's maybe what you were describing as Nick felt, and you felt that it was, or Nick would describe it the way he described it, possibly.
I think it's important though as well, because when he was talking about the graphene oxide, he then went on to, but finishing that point on a positive, that he was saying, but even so, even though it will conduct this, and that's what they're trying to do, that consciousness is stronger, and that we are all consciousness, which is like his overriding message, really. We're all consciousness having this experience, and that there's still a way to get beyond it, no matter what they try, however strong they are and all the things they bring in technologically, etc. There is this consciousness that we all are that can still go above it and beyond it,
it was
and
just hopeful.
That,
it was so hopeful, because the reason he brought that up, because somebody brought up the subject of chemtrails, and he's like, what is it, what's going on, what is all this? I mean, there's a lot of different things, I think, but like Ben said, he brought up the fact that they're using the chemtrails to get graphene oxide in us for whatever nefarious reason they see fit. And that's terrifying, but he didn't stop at terrifying. He was not about fearful, and he was not about leaving people worried. He said, but guys, and then I always get it wrong. He says, you're all that was, will be, and ever will be. Whatever he says, that ain't going to really do a lot of harm. You know what I mean? He's like, think of what you are, a bit of graphene oxide, it's not going to work. And it just felt really hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, it taps into what like Rhiannon said there in the chat about don't want to be maudlin, but he's not going to be around forever. But it's not maudlin, because he'd say, well, I'm quite happy when I bugger off, and so I don't want to come back.
Yeah.
So, the life is finite, but that's not the most important thing, and the whole thing is not getting tied up in
the material,
in this baggage of stuff that we're made of.
Infinite consciousness, that's it. But brilliant, Rhiannon. You will love him. You'll love it. I think you'll understand what we mean. There's a different old sage. It really does. I feel like he's morphed. If he was a woman, I'd say he'd gone into the crone stage of his
that's funny. I was thinking that. Well, it's funny enough, there was a little clip on his website from the London talks, and he came on and said, oh, it's good to be here. It's funny enough, I just found out on a podcast that I used to be a woman.
Yeah.
some Dutch podcast.
It's definitive evidence David Icke used to be a woman, and he was cracking up when he said, "Has anybody seen my book?" He said, my mum used to say, never let your dangle dingle, or something, dingle dangle. But he hadn't changed.
No, there's always a sense of humour.
What is the male version of
that? Was the Canadian? That was the Canadian one. That must have been the one he did in Canada, because that's Well, that was at the Vogue Theatre in 2000. Yeah, that was a great show he did there. Yeah, I wasn't there, of course. I mean, but I watched it on video. It was one of the first videos I saw of David. But you know what? Yeah, he could be that he was in a part. Who knows what we were in past lives? But I do hope you enjoy it, Rhiannon, and let me know how you get on, because he's coming. Obviously, he won't be around in his physical existence for much longer. I mean, he's coming close to the end of that, like, because at his age, it's inevitable. He might have another 20 years, you never know. But at some point, you know, probably in the next couple of decades, he's going to go. And when he does, he'll move on to another stage of his existence, we don't know what that is. There's many theories. But it did surprise me. One of the things he said that did surprise me, despite the fact, like, I agree with you totally, that it was incredibly uplifting. That I always come out of David feeling better, always. Every time I've been to see him live, and I go to every live event of his I can, I come out of it feeling better and feeling happy. He did say
people don't realise that about him. I don't think. Think people realise because of the dark nature of what he talks about. I think some people might avoid him because they might think that they're going to come away with some fear porn. But
yeah, and also obviously all the external propaganda against him. You know. Hello,
Hi, Nick.
Good evening. Hiya. How's you? You all right?
Yeah, look, the gang's back together. Ben, have you noticed he's stolen Russell?
He's got his own Russell. All right, Russell.
Russell.
It's not my Russell's over there, so it must be his twin brother.
I'm not copying you, Ben, but this is called Derek.
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 Oh, yeah.
Derek and Russell.
Russell's mentioned Derek a couple of times. They have shared friends.
Oh, I see. Right.
Hi, Linda. How you doing?
Hi, everyone in chat. It's nice to see everyone.
Doing,
but
Nick?
yeah, I'm
we were just having a little chat about. We haven't gone into the complete details of what he was talking about yet, but we were just saying. I hope you don't mind me mentioning that me and you were a little bit down in the dumps, weren't we? And we swallowed the black pill a little tiny bit, and but we both came out. And you used the word in the podcast last night. Cleansed. You felt cleansed. Do you want to talk a bit about that, Nick?
Yeah,
the energy was.
The energy was magnificent. It's nothing I've ever felt before. In terms of how many people were there, what did you say? 400 people? I think it was. It was a packed crowd. I have to admit, it's a bit like going to like a church or like a big event, you know, when you're all a bit of gospel and everyone's together, and you know when they're all like hallelujah sort of stuff. So it almost created energy, but this was a very positive energy. But like you said, Liz, before you went in, it's been hard. I have to admit, and since the riots, things just for me just went. I mean, personally, emotional stuff as well. So it has been a mixed bag. So coming together on that day was such a great experience. And like I said, I used the word cleanse because that's what I felt like when I left. I thought, oh God, it ended on a positive note because of the subject matter we're going to talk about. It's a bit touchy, and like I said, Liz, when we were eating the food, is like God, we're going in to see David Icke, and we're like black-pilled. We're too depressed. Like, it literally is depressing, isn't it? I mean, being in the truth movement is not exactly, you know, comforting. Because conspiracy theories, you are living in fear to a certain degree. You have to admit, guys, it depends on the person how they interpret it. I mean, I might be a weak person. I mean, I know a person who's very, very strong-minded, and conspiracy theories is actually fine. I mean, he does it every single day, and that's like fair play. But for me, I can't do that. So no. I was a bit nervous going in to see David Icke, and I'm going to be honest with you. The week before, I was like, "Oh, should I go?" And a part of me is like, "No." That feeling is like, "Oh, I don't think I can do this." But I'm so glad I went because the energy was, oh my God, it was magnificent, and I felt cleansed afterwards. And yeah, it was good. But been with you guys as well. You know, I think that's important to be in that sort of community to say, look, we're not the only one. And when we were sitting in the conference room, Liz, I was saying, God, look at the people. I said, all different peoples from walks of life. Doesn't matter what color you creed or red or blue pilled, whatever. And well, we're all bloody we're red pilled, aren't we? Well, we're black pilled now.
We are red pilled.
Pretty much.
I come out white pilled, I'd say, when I come out. I've seen David. I'd say I'm white.
Yeah, that's a good one, Ben.
Yeah. That's a good term. Yeah.
I couldn't hang around with you guys, but you know, my lift was heading off. I had work in the morning. I had to get home, but my lift was heading off, and so I had to go with him. But the guy giving me a lift. But I mean, it's great. I'd love to have stayed a bit longer, you know, and said hello to you and stayed with you and stuff. But
that's right. But it was. But the the energy was magnificent. There's nothing I felt, and I came away feeling positive, and it still lingered. So I'm so glad to see David Icke. But yeah, like you mentioned, Liz, I was expecting to go in and to see David Icke as his old form, you know, where he used to walk around the stage. I understand that he was ill, sure, I understand that. And I have to admit, he's aged a bit, isn't he? Have you not noticed that? Yeah, I've noticed that.
I've noticed because I last saw him live back in 2018 up in Newcastle, so it wasn't that long ago. It was like it was 8 years ago. But I mean, he did his usual sort of solo show there, where he did slides and he stood and walked up and down on the stage. It's pretty clear. Like I suppose inevitably we all will. He's starting to look older, and I mean, this is something that comes to us all. And I think if you're lucky enough to live long enough to experience that, it's probably a sense you should feel a sense of achievement about that, I think. But but as he said himself, this is but one stage on his eternal journey. Oh, the crafties have gone.
They're gone, leaving us.
That's right. Those two. Let's leave them alone. Let's go and have a break. Let's go and make a cup of tea. Yeah, but you know it's a stage in an eternal journey, and I mean, he did actually surprise me. Hello, you're back. They're back.
Sorry, it was when I posted Rhiannon's thing up there about MI5. All of a sudden, we got cut off.
Yeah. Well, there you go. She asked the question.
Coming into that.
That's what they've been watching us. She asked. I remember she asked how many MI5 agents were there. Well,
don't say it again.
Well, there were at least 4, weren't there? There were at least 4. There was us
really.
4. There were us 4. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Wow.
Well, I mean, there's anyone.
I would say, we got kicked off.
That's your fault.
I know we know the answer to Rhiannon's question. We know exactly what the backslappers would say. The backslappers would say there were 400. So, but that's what they would say. The chances are, though, there were maybe 1 or 2. I don't know. There may be someone watching.
Well, I'm sure there was somebody watching.
I probably just maybe. I think you wouldn't need more than 1 or 2. I mean, because but no doubt they are watching. No doubt they're listening to us tonight. In which case, get a proper job, guys.
Yeah,
it was quite funny. Sort of at the end, I think Jamie said, "Oh, you know, when David was talking about consciousness and love," and Jamie was like, "It's not really the words of a level 3 terrorist or whatever it was that he's been classed as, you know, by the EU, you know."
He's been banned at one time or another from most of the countries in Europe, in the Schengen zone, which is basically most of the EU, which we're out of now, thank goodness. He's been banned from Australia. He's been banned from the United States in several phases when he's been reinstated a couple of times. Been banned from Canada a couple of times. I mean, you know, there are hate preachers from Saudi Arabia who are perfectly free to visit these countries and can go around wherever they want and say all kinds of horrible things.
It's just bonkers, isn't it? I mean, it was like your granddad having a chat and a laugh, and he's been banned from 30 countries. What you want about?
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous.
But
when they say when the mainstream say something, oh, don't do that. Do the opposite.
Yeah.
It's safe and effective. Exactly. You know, we must take it. Oh no, that's fine. That's all right. I'll just do the opposite. Thank you very much.
Katie Hopkins said that the other day. She said, "Whatever they tell you not to do. If you eat lots of meat, spend things with cash, buy things with cash, and stuff like that." She said, "It's literally, I mean, it's a good maxim, I think, to just do the opposite of what they're saying." And David, like, he, you know, despite the darkness things he brought up, he a lot of the stuff I'm already familiar with, so it didn't maybe affect me as might have affected maybe yourself, Nick, because you have, I don't know, is that the first time you've seen him at all?
First time, yeah, first time.
It may have affected you differently to how it affected me, because I first went to see him. I saw him in 2002 was my first live show when I saw him. Wow. And it was in Stoke-on-Trent, and we were in a school hall sitting on little plastic garden chairs, I remember. There's probably the same number of people there, but it was like, but I mean, I've been following him like for about 25 years, this guy. I've been reading his books and following his work. But he always says something new. I know his things are, everything he does is designed to be self-contained. So he does repeat a lot of things, but that's just because it's designed to be self-contained, everything he does. So his books, you know, will always contain a lot of the same information, but he always includes new stuff. He always has a new spin on things, new style. And the thing he talks about this time was something that I've never heard come from him, which was the idea of the wheel of samsara. The idea is that even the people who have near-death experiences are not seeing outside the simulation. They're experiencing just another level of it. And this is, again, it's not a new idea. It goes back at least 2,500 years, because this was the basis of the teachings of the Buddha. His whole idea was to escape that particular cycle, and that's a particular trap, as David calls it, a trap. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really. This is something you don't hear very often from modern researchers, except perhaps Anthony Peake. He's another one who's similar to David in that respect. But it's really interesting hearing David talk about it. I found it because I'm very interested in experiences and stuff.
Because he has mentioned it quite. Because I still listen to him. I'm not a paid member of Iconic, but the bits and pieces I do listen to when he goes on to other people's channels, and he does like an hour. He goes into a lot of detail about that. So, yeah, the new material was about what happens when you die. And it's quite interesting because he says, we tip our forelock to teachers, to bosses, to royalty, to, we kind of little me, like he says. And then he says, and then you get to you die, and there's these beings that you're kind of tipping your.
I think they got a slightly broken connection. The craft
to have, yeah. At the back.
There's these beings that, when you die, you shouldn't be little me, But he says the trap is they come in, and maybe you've always believed in Jesus, so you might see Jesus. Maybe it's I don't know. Whatever it is for you, but you are still little me. And he says we need to stop doing that. And the fact that it's happening after we die is the kind of simulation still going on to trap us here. And we've got to sort of almost prepare for that whilst we're alive and know that that's going to happen, and so we don't fall for it again. If I'm getting him right.
It's remarkable because there's sorry, they're broken up again.
Waking Your Mind said he recently spoke with Mark Passio. That would be interesting.
You crafty, sorry for interrupting, because you're breaking up slightly, so we might be speaking in a slightly different time zone in terms. But
sorry guys, we've got a rubbish internet connection for some reason.
But I'm reminded of the scene in The Matrix, that incredible scene in The Matrix where to the shock of the viewer as much as to the character, Neo suddenly finds himself facing the architect, where the architect reveals to him that he has never left the Matrix, and that when he thought he left, he hadn't really, and everything that had been going on, everything that happened to him since he took the red pill, etc., was just another part of the Matrix. And of course, this is a. Go on.
Sorry, Ben. Continue.
Hello, Diego Vera. Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, it's good. I was going to say, do you not find the simulation a bit scary? The fact that we're sort of trapped here, and it's one aspect I haven't really delved into, because it kind of feels like there's no escape.
Yeah.
In my. But what do you think about that?
It's one of these things that, again, it's not a new idea. I mean, we use computer analogy. We talk about simulations and holograms, and we use a lot of computing analogy in the modern world. In the past, people use different analogies. It's quite an old idea. It goes back at least a couple of thousand years, because Plato just described what he called the cave. That we were literally sitting in a cave looking at shadows cast on the wall from a fire behind us. And the shadows were shapes that were moving in front of the fire, and we were seeing their shadows. We could have turned over. If you look over our shoulder, you see the shapes. But even that's not the end, because you're still in the cave. And he said, and in his famous dialogue about the cave, one of the men actually escapes from the cave and climbs out through the entrance and sees the world in the open air. He sees the sun, the moon, the sky. And it is scary, because how will you ever know? I mean, it's one of these mysteries of consciousness, but because the only certainty in the entire world is that we are conscious. I think, therefore I am, the Cartesian principle.
Yeah.
Everything else, if you approach it from a very, very, Rhiannon says, I'm not coming back here again, no way. Hope to God I don't, Rhiannon. If you approach it from a very, very philosophically skeptical point of view, you could say, well, there's nothing else in this world you can possibly be sure of. Nothing at all. And so if you ever do escape from the Platonic cave, or break through the simulation, you will never know for certain that you have. This is the paradox of the whole. It's the paradox of existence, and there's no escape from it, because we are only sure of our own consciousness. I could be a solipsist and just say, well, everything's not real, including yourselves. You don't exist. You are just
Yeah,
like
that's
the imaginary characters of my dreams, because when I have a dream, I sometimes see people, individuals I know don't exist. How do I know that's not happening now? I don't believe that personally. And of course, you'll say to me, well, no, you, Ben, you're my dream and I exist. That's what you'll say. But then you would do, wouldn't you, if you were part of my imagination? That's the rabbit hole you go down and you can't really get out of. There's no way out of it.
It just seems like a circle. We just go through like a cycle with this sort of, I say, conspiracy, or this new type of new age. Would you call it like a new age talk in terms
David's
of?
very David actually is a harsh critic of the New Age, and indeed, as am I. But yeah, I mean, he's often classified as a New Age guru. I think that's what this silly woman in the John Ronson documentary called him.
Oh, right.
Gail Gans, this woman, Ronson's interview.
I see. It's a very interesting concept. I mean, I'll have to delve into it, but it just feels, I kind of feel a bit trapped. I mean, I'm probably looking at it of a very skeptical sort of view. I'm sure it goes into various rabbit holes. Depends on which avenue I go into. So, but it's extremely interesting, and it gets brought up a lot at the moment, especially in the truth movement.
And the fact that we now have, you see, we have technology and science that we didn't have until quite recently, which is the ability to split the atom, the ability to examine subatomic particles, which is what these particle accelerators are for. Well, they may have other purposes, but that's a
open portals.
Tonight. But it's amazing how much. So I was going to say, it's amazing how much energy, how much resources, how much money, and how much ingenuity we put into splitting atoms. Because when we look at these subatomic particles and we get down really within them, we find the quantum world actually it is more like there's nothing solid in the quantum world, and all the laws of reality as we know them in the macro world don't exist. This is why the film What the Bleep Would We Know is so interesting. This is why you get things like Schrodinger's cat, because it just illustrates how weird things are. When you go down to the very deepest level, there's nothing solid down there. There's nothing solid. It's more like a concentrated bit of information. A piece of organized energy. That's what's at the heart of matter, which is what you would see if we were in some kind of simulation. That's what you would expect to see. You would expect to see that reality itself is created through energetic vibrations at a level which is not solid, and even the densest material of all, at its basis, that's all you have.
Yeah.
There's one thing I'm going to say, and in terms of breaking into the matrix, so to speak, I've had many mushroom trips, very high dose of mushroom trips. And one common thing that I see, especially in the dark, and Leon Alien Addict, who I'm speaking to, has exactly the same thing. Have you seen The Matrix, where it's got the numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is literally what you see. It's so weird. And we were talking about it. It's like, do you think that's some sort of universal code?
Do you know what, Nick? I seen a video on Rumble or something, and it was this guy that was using psychedelics and also using some sort of laser. A laser. I don't know what kind of laser it might have been. One you can get to annoy people at concerts. I have no idea. I don't understand about lasers. But he did something with these two lasers and had about 100 people try this out. I don't know if they were all on psychedelics, but they had to look at these two lasers. I think they were on psychedelics, and they all said, "Oh my God, I can see the numbers like there is on the Matrix film." Yeah, I'll see if I can find that little thing for you.
It goes in all different directions. And I couldn't believe when Lee said that. I was like, oh, yeah, that's what I see when you shut your eyes. And obviously, I'm not indulging anyone to do it. It's like a universal code. But I mean, everyone's adult here, to be honest with you. But if you are going to do it, just be sensible. Don't go it full blown. I think you have to gradually go up to it. I mean, they say the shamanic realms. I mean, I know I was speaking to Graham Hancock a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about various trips that we've had. Obviously, he's taken ayahuasca, which is completely different. But he was saying if you take over 5 grams, if you take 5 grams, that is like the shamanic realm. You can see entities. That's especially what I see anyway. So you are passing the barrier, possibly into the simulation. But I was doing 7 to 8 grams, so I was going past that, and it's a very scary thing. But it's a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. But
you've got to know what you're doing, haven't you? You can't just willy nilly do any of this. Not this anything, can you? Really, you shouldn't go into it.
I don't mean to promote it or anything like that. It's just having these experiences. I noticed, like, okay, there's something vastly more intelligent, because it feels like there's intelligence behind it. Because when I was having this trip, I said to my missus, I said, it feels like the hand of God is literally reaching in and pulling my soul out. It was so powerful, and it literally turned me into an atheist, not into an atheist. Because I went, okay, I don't necessarily believe in a God who, a creator, man in a cloud who looks down on us. I think it's in an entity, some sort of binding in our consciousness that we cannot see, but I think it's something universal. It's so strong until you've had that experience, and I'm not endorsing anyone to do it, but I don't even think
I think there's other ways of getting it as well, Nick. I don't even think you need to take ayahuasca, because when you think of some people that have been locked away in solitary confinement, or you go into those what is it, like things, sensory deprivation tanks. There seems to be symbols that everybody sees eventually. You can't see, you can't hear, you can't, your 5 senses are closed down, but people start seeing with maybe their third eye or whatever it is, shapes, and they seem to, like you say, there seems to be some sort of conformity that everybody all over the world will see the same kind of
exactly the same experiences.
That's remarkable. Yeah, that's a remarkable thing, because there's only 2 possibilities there. And I know Graham Hancock has said this, because he mentioned this to the shamans when he went to Peru to do the ayahuasca workshop, and he mentioned the creatures he sees. And he says, "Don't worry, everyone sees them." And when he meant everyone, he meant that the other Amazon Indians. But Graham Hancock is like a white European with a completely different background, who's grown up in a completely different culture. Yet he perceived he can count at the same creatures. There's only 2 possibilities here. Either the human brain is every human brain across the world, regardless of a person's race or religion or culture or upbringing or anything else, is hardwired to produce certain images under certain states of consciousness, and that itself requires fantastic explanation. Or, why would it be like that? Or what people are seeing is objectively real. Now, in my view, the most parsimonious, I love it when I use the skeptics things against them. The most parsimonious, using Occam's razor, the most likely explanation is the latter. They are seeing things that are objectively real.
I think you're right on that one. It's you can't deny that, where there's so many people have the same experience. Like, I've seen the same thing as that. You just can't deny that. So it's a beautiful thing, but it's definitely woken me up to a lot of possibilities that are very much dismissed. Like believing in the creator, I believe they're our space cousins, our brothers and sisters far out there. Who created us a very long time ago.
Obviously, it gets into what David Icke was talking about in terms of the religions of the world. They are in a way ways of putting manipulation on people, and they're all sort of thought control. And obviously, he's about a consciousness thing, like you say, a universal consciousness, and getting that. Then you're breaking out of the religion thing, as well as all the other belief systems and stuff like that. That there are in the world. I thought, one of the things he said when he'd seen these kids playing in Jerusalem, and it was like Jerusalem's in these 4 different quarters, Muslim, Jewish, Christian, and Armenian, interestingly enough. But he was saying just these same kids playing football, and just they'd be
2 minutes down the road,
and they'd be in a different section, and then their belief system would be completely different, because but interestingly, I thought an extension of that, all those belief systems pretty much are following the same the same pattern, really. You know,
Opposames, he calls them. Yeah.
yeah.
So just going back to green tea, because she asked a question a long time ago. What stuck out, if you can think of anything? Can we just answer that? Because bless her, she did ask it quite a long time ago. So what stuck out? We'll start with you, Ben, if that's all right. What stuck out for you the most? What, you know, did we find maybe you'd heard it before and it just kind of resonated a little bit more this time, or something new? What was your kind of standout moment, do you think?
It would have to be where he talks about the wheel of samsara, which is of course the ancient word for it, but he describes it as the eternal return, reincarnation, the fact that the near-death experience does not reveal to you the end of the simulation. It reveals to you just a deeper level of it. That's that's the first time I've heard David say that, and I haven't been following him. I must say, I haven't been following him as closely as I used to. This is not because I've rejected him or I've turned against him like some people have. I just feel I've moved on from him in a way, and I need to focus on different subjects. I always come back to him. I'm always happy to come back to him and listen to him. I mean, I haven't this isn't a criticism of him or failure on his part, but that I've never heard him talk about before, and that to me I think does stand out. I mean, there's a couple of things he disagreed with. Probably I don't have time to go into detail now. He made some comments about Donald Trump that I don't agree with, but
I was the only one in the auditorium that clapped at that comment, Ben.
Ben, we sort of agreed with him on that one, yeah.
But I think, Ben, me and you disagree vehemently about that subject, but guess what? We're still buddies. Oh, you mean you can have a different opinion to somebody and still be their mate? Oh my God.
It's surprising actually how few people do that. How very often people have a personal falling out based on a difference of opinion, which to me is silly. I mean, as long as people are polite and they are friendly, I'm quite happy to be the same to them. I mean, I've got friends who are flat earthers, not because they're flat earthers, but because they treat me with respect. Whereas certain individuals, I could mention, in the backslapper community in particular, the moment someone mentions flat Earth, they'll just be blocked. Someone will hurl abuse and just block them, or vice versa. There's some flatties actually who do that to globe heads like me.
So I
happen to be a globe head. I don't think the Earth is flat, but I don't.
Night, Margaret. I think Margaret's going. Night, Margaret.
See you, Margaret.
Thanks, Margaret.
Yeah. Night, Margaret. Take care.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I suppose the bigger picture, I mean, not just to move away from Trump and everything else, it is the whole point of there shouldn't be anything in terms of party lines or religious lines or racial lines. And obviously, if you get to what David's talking about, getting to this level where we're all consciousness, which is, well, he says we are anyway, but this understanding that we're all consciousness, and that just removes all of those divisions and all of those oppositions which people create or are created for us, should I say, by those above, and then sets people fighting each other. And it's like then everyone's wasting their energy on those conflicts when the real people we should all be concentrating against is that less than 1% that's doing the manipulating and the destruction.
And it's not just a case of you will be surprised by how much you've got in common with somebody if you kind of ignore the bits that you haven't got in common with them. It's not even how much, it's how deep it is, okay, in my opinion, because what I've got in common with you, Ben, is so deep, all the other little bits we believe or may not believe pale into insignificance. The main thing that we believe is so important,
Yeah, and I really sense that actually.
And it is that. Yeah.
It's fundamental.
I sense that.
And the fundamental thing is that we
obviously with my friends,
we don't like the people above us.
Yeah, we're friends, obviously. But even everyone else in that room, I felt an energy of affinity, which I think you only get with David Icke. I mean, you never get this at a UFO conference, for example. I didn't feel it at the ASAP conference. I only really get it from David Icke events, but there's this kind of
weird, isn't it, Ben? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I mean, this is why I wrote what I did in my report about the way I felt about being in that room and about how I felt that I could face the music and dance as the song goes. that famous song by whoever it was, I can't remember. And because despite the emotional blitzkrieg that's coming, I think we can endure it. We can endure it. It'll be the biggest challenge we've ever faced,
Yeah.
but we can endure that. You know. Hey, Diego Rivera.
I think it's so interesting how all four of us, felt the same positive energy. I mean, oh my goodness, what was it, Nick? I know you were nodding when Ben was on about the energy, because you've been to a lot of different conferences, but you said this is the first time you've ever felt this.
Yeah, I personally think that everyone was on the same page in terms of 2024 has been one of the most weirdest, strangest years where you cannot be a conspiracy theorist. And I think a lot of people have woken up after the pandemic. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, I'm quite surprised actually. After give it a few years, people are going, "Oh, actually, yeah, that was a bit of a, a pee take. A bit of a test, wasn't it? Really?" I was like, "Yeah, clearly." And I think that woken a lot of people up. Like I say, people have changed since the pandemic, since 2020, and I think people were in that room together with the same outcome of life, because like David Icke was talking about the 50-minute cities, weather manipulation, it was all the current events that was going on. So I think people can actually relate to that, and you can people clapping and agreeing with him with all the topics that's going on, but at the same time he said it 30 years ago, so it's like nothing new. But I think it's the realization. It's like, oh, okay, actually is the realization now, okay, this guy is actually right. And people who were there on the same page as all four of us, we're conspiracy theorists. I hate to use that term. I really
love
do.
it. I love it. I love it.
It doesn't carry the same. It doesn't carry the stigma it used to. Yeah, it doesn't carry the stigma it used to.
And I think we're all there on the same page, have the same outcome on our thoughts of life. That look, there is something seriously wrong in a big way. Like there's a massive ramp up. And I think we're all there together as one consciousness. I think it just it's energy fields, baby. It all syncs together, it binds together. And I think we're just all there as one. And incredible. I think that's my personal opinion. I think we're all there for one reason, is that we all know the outcome of what's happening. There's definitely, like David Icke says, it's definitely a plan. And it's like, it's so clearly obvious. The amount of people was waking
up. I think you hit the nail on the head, Nick. I think you've hit the nail on the head, because I know me and you had a little chat when we were in the pub before we went in, and we were sort of talking about how it used to be. I used to call it conspiratainment. It used to be, I didn't watch the news because I've been affected by the Rwandan war.
They've
really used to watch a lot of telly, and so it conspiracy. I've gone again. Am I back?
So you're back. Yeah,
you're back. You're back.
You just go for a few seconds. That's all.
I know our internet's rubbish. Conspiratainment, but I think the difference now, Nick, and I think you kind of alluded to this, is it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
So it's happening. So it's not just you go to David Icke to be entertained. You go to him for what hope, I think, and I think he delivered.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I primarily go for that reason. Sorry, Nick, I was going to say I don't go there for information. I'm actually familiar with most of the information. It's more the energy and the hope and meeting other people and being in that environment is more than that. Yeah,
it was fantastic, wasn't it? I think that's actually one of my favourite conferences I've been to, not because of 15 new speakers and it was in Glastonbury because that's my favourite place in the world. This was my favourite one. I came back after feeling so down, feeling really happy again. It was lovely.
Yeah, it was very refreshing. I mean, for me, 2020 was. I mean, when I was a massive conspiracy theorist going back like 2007, 8, 9, 10, the height of like YouTube. And I was like, this is a really bad time, everything going on. And then I met my girlfriend and I sort of moved away from the truth movement. I dipped in, seeing Richard D. Hall. I will dip a toe in, see you as well, Ben, and see the UFOs. But when the pandemic hit, I was like, hold on a minute. There's something going on here. and it was such a slap in the face. I was like, whoa, there's like what I would consider the New World Order, but we call it the Great Reset now. I was like, there is a massive ramp up, and it has been since there, like huge propaganda. And that's what people have caught on to. And it sort of rewoken me up. I was like, hold on a minute, you are really pushing it. And like David Icke said, he says, I can see what you're doing. You know, you're not hiding it. You know, I can see exactly what you're doing. And that's what I think people are now seeing. Is like, it's clearly done on purpose. There was an interview with this lady in America, and she was this Trump supporter. And she was being interviewed. She says, why not voting for Kamala? She says, if you think that everything going on in America is done by accident, I says, sorry, but you have to wake up. This is done on purpose. But this is worldwide. It's happened for England and America. It's the same propaganda, the same tactics, and people are not buying it anymore. I mean, they're ramping up bloody COVID again, and I'm thinking, no one's going to buy it. I'm not buying it.
It's not going to work, is it?
It's
we were
not.
talking to
It's
our
not.
friend today. It's not going to. We went to a protest, Palestine protest. A lot of you may know that we've got family that kind of we've got what is it, a horse in the game when it comes to this Palestine thing, if you know what I mean. We know somebody that's lost 30 people, and she's kind of going to be my daughter-in-law.
Oh.
I keep telling my son she's going to be my daughter-in-law. He's just got to bloody ask her. I'm just saying. Yeah, he's just got to pull his finger out of his ass and a bloody ask her. But anyway, we've got a stake in the game, so it's really hit us as a family hard. So we went to a little protest in Bath about that, and I was talking to my friend, and what were we saying? What was I saying? God knows.
Did you say God knows?
God knows. What was I saying?
We're talking about
the moment where you kind of wake up and realise it's all real. I mean, it could be if you're being caught up in a war is a very...
Yeah, absolutely. COVID. Oh, that was it.
Yeah.
Then I literally said, I kind of every now and again wore a mask, as you all know I had to at work. You know, I just did. I won't do it now. I won't do any of that nonsense now. I won't stand 6 foot apart from somebody, because that's just breaking up the aura. They know we've got an aura, and we can almost be telepathic when we're stood within that 6 foot aura of somebody else. It's almost like if you stood in Tesco's next to somebody, then you were closer than 6 foot. You might pick up on the fact that they think it's bullshit. They didn't want that. They wanted us also. I won't do it again. And I don't think many people will, even people that don't think the things we think, because they've had enough.
There's certainly a lot of normies that I've spoken to that seem to have come to that decision. You know, maybe they took the, you know, but they, you know, regret it, and they've changed their view, like you're saying, and they've, you know, they won't do, it won't accept as easily what was.
Don't think it will,
you know?
Nick. Ben.
No, we seem to be in a bit of an. Thanks. So I won't be a sec. We're in a bit of an informational arms race where.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, Ben.
The bad guys are always coming up with ways of controlling us in their eternal war against us, and we then find ways around it. I mean, the C word was really the biggest one they've done in generations, and I think it was a deliberate retaliatory strike against 2016, the 2016 effect, as I call it. But they obviously it didn't. They called a hard stop on it in the end of 2021, which means it didn't work. And then I've never seen this before. I've never seen them reverse course so quickly. So the moment they did that, they're going to think of something new, and it could be war, it could be the wars that are breaking out everywhere, it could be all kinds of things that they're going to plan. But you know, we've got to be alert, and we've got to be ready to retaliate. And I don't think the C word will work again, because in a sense, we've had a mental vaccine. We've had an emotional and mental and psychological, spiritual vaccine against this germ they've already tried to infect us with. And when I say the germ they're infecting us with, I'm talking metaphorically and as an analogy. And so they'll just try to hit us with something else, and sometimes we'll see it coming. And as a comment on what Nick said, everyone I think has this wake up moment, don't they? They have. Because I think a lot of people go through the same process that you've just described, Nick, and I have, where it's a kind of you have what Liz called conspiratainment. And for the first 10 years, I'd say for the first 10 years I was into this sort of thing, it was just that. I posted on forums, I sort of talked about it, I read books, and to me it was just a bit of fun, really. And then deep down there was a part of me that thought, this is not real. It's not real. this is all just, I'm just LARPing here, really. There was a part of me deep down that thought that, even though I didn't think it consciously. And then bang, in 2006, what happens? The school write to me and tell me they want to take my daughter's fingerprints. I thought, oh my God, it's real. It's real. That was it. It's like waking up from a nightmare and finding the nightmare is real. Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you say that? I mean, for me, personally, on a personal note, being a conspiracy theorist back in like 2008, the hype of 2012 that something was going to happen, whether or not there's going to be the end of the world or a spiritual awakening. And I really wanted to ask David Icke this question: that the fact that obviously nothing happened in terms of an event, but do you think that spiritual awakening, which is very hyped now, and I'm sort of kind of ruling it out because nothing happened in 2012, because I had that experience of, oh God, nothing happened. Oh, that was a big, like, spent 3 years of wasting my time, speculating on this. I mean, there's nothing wrong with speculating, but really nothing happened. But
Well,
I can kind of feel there's a shift. There is some sort of shift, and I think it's vibrationally as well. Whether or not it's linked up to the 5 things, the tower blocks and all that, I don't know. I'm not too sure whether or not it's going to be a spiritual awakening or the fact that people will just realize how much we've been lied to.
I mean, people are going to get sick. Oh, sorry, Ben. Just quickly.
Go ahead, Joe.
I won't harp on about it. You get? I'm saying that because of Ego Shredder's little comment there. I'm not going to harp on about this because people know my views potentially. That I kind of buy into the yugas, the Kali yugas, and the Hindu. We're just coming out of Kali, going into Dvapara, Ben, not Satya. I keep telling them off about that.
I can remember that. Yeah.
So people know what I think about this. If you've ever heard me, I always bang on about this because it really fits. And okay, 2 things very quickly. The thing that stuck with me, green tea, is David Icke. I've heard it before, but David Icke, it really sat with me. He said, we need a blank piece of paper. And everything we believe has to earn its place. You don't just have your beliefs because you went to that school or you were dragged to that church or you listened to the BBC for the first 50 years of your life. That belief has to have merit. And so that's what I took away with me. And the yugas kind of, they've earned their place with me because I can see people coming out and going, wait a minute, what royalty? What? I'm a sentient being, I'm a sovereign being, I don't need a master. So I can see that consciousness coming out of Kali into Dvapara on the upward trajectory. And I think they know that's happening. There's nothing they can do about it. And we go round and round and round the donut shape. There's nothing they can do about it. Except for tyranny, to try and, okay, you're going to be, they're going to be more consciously aware. We can't do anything about that except lock them up. Or
they're going to try.
That's my opinion.
These are all desperate attempts to avert the inevitable. But you know what? But on what it's absolutely true. I think it's interesting, Liz, that the Kali Yuga, the end of the Kali Yuga for the Dvapara, I'll try and remember that the changeover in the Hindu ages has come more or less certainly within a couple of decades, depending on the Indologist you talk to. Certainly within a couple of decades of the Mayan calendar changeover, which happened just 12 years after the end of the Gregorian calendar, second millennium. At the same time as, to quote the song, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Now,
you want me to sing, don't you? You know I can't. I'll go on mute and have a little sing. We lost 3 viewers when I did that earlier.
Gnomes in cars.
You missed us, or did you not? We started singing.
I heard you singing Gnomes in cars.
Yeah, and about 3 people buggered off. Who can blame them?
In response to what Nick said, of course, nothing. I mean, I knew nothing obvious would happen on the 21st of December, 2012 at 11 a.m. I knew everyone was saying there's going to be massive lightning strikes across the sky and the gods are going to rise from the graves and jaguars are going to fall from the heavens and things like that. But I mean, at the same time, I knew that wouldn't happen. And indeed, I think the people who devised that calendar, the Mayan priesthood, knew that. What it was, I think it was maybe the 100th monkey moment. I think it was maybe the point where the switch was flipped at a very deep energetic level. But when that switch flips at that deep level, it doesn't appear in the world we see immediately. It can take years to evolve into a capsule change. And I think that's why David actually did a video about this, saying he thought we wouldn't see anything really substantial until 2016. Which kind of that video. If I find it, I'll send it to you because it kind of answers your question a bit. If I remember the content of it, I can't. But unfortunately, guys, I'm going to have to leave you. I'm sorry about that, but
Oh,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Ben.
See you.
it's,
Always
Appreciate
a
it, my friend.
pleasure.
Thank
I've
you.
really
Always a
enjoyed
pleasure.
this little hour. Yeah, it's great to see you. It was great
We'll
to see you
have to
again
do it more
before.
often. Yeah,
And obviously, I'll share this on my network. This will be on her Panmo Voice
Brilliant.
tonight. This link.
we were going to
And
do more with
Thank
this,
you.
Ben, weren't we? And when the date we booked for you to come and us do this, we got banned for 2 weeks. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, I remember that. And I was asking.
I
what
think
happened.
it was because of you,
She
Ben.
went for YouTube jail. Yeah, they were trying to stop me. But
YouTube.
yeah, YouTube jail, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh.
So we'll have to start putting some, if you don't mind, putting some more in our diary, because I really like this way we sort of bounce off each other. I think it's great.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Gentlemen and ladies, you take care.
Thanks,
All the
Ben.
best.
Thank you,
Ben.
Ben.
Thanks,
Take care.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for everyone in the chat box. And
Bye,
see you
Ben.
again soon. Bye-bye.
Everybody go and subscribe to Ben. You probably already have. Yeah.
But yeah, Tim Beck saying Gnomes in Cars, Gary
Gnomes-
Newman.
Don't start me off. I will sing.
I was saying, Tim, the other week that it should be like a mashup of Gary Newman's Cars with David Bowie doing the Laughing Gnome. I think we could do some sort of
So definitely,
mashup.
it's definitely the sort of thing that we would do
Yeah.
off air, as it were.
Yeah.
So what was your defining moment then, Nick? So going back to Green's original question about 4 years ago, what stood out for you? I mean, are you familiar with David's work? Was it all a little bit new? You tell me.
Oh no, I was well into David like years ago. Like I said, I mean, through that, I would say 10 years when I met the missus, I was still dipping in and out. It wasn't like a full blown, okay, there's like a massive campaign to really push an agenda here. Like it was, I was more concentrated on Star Wars and Marvel movies, being a normie in that sort of sense. But I was like, we're staying with the, can we say the thing, the trails in the sky? Are we allowed to say the word?
Already done
Yeah.
it anyway, Nick. You might as well do it
I've
again.
already done it. I've already done it.
The
Yeah.
chemtrails and everything. So because I'm a gardener by trade, I've always looked up in the sky. That's I've always looked up. So I've always
You're not just any old gardener, though, are you, Nick? You're a gardener to the rich and famous.
Yes. Well, I did do gardening work for the Stig. Did you know the original Stig?
Oh,
Yeah. He lives not too far from where I live.
did
tucked away.
you? Interesting.
Yeah.
That was
But
some
no,
interesting
Graham,
conversation.
but I can remember it was 2020 when it was the first lockdown, and I got this call. It says, "Hi, my name's Samantha. Could you come and sort this garden out?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So I sorted the garden out, and I knocked on the door to collect payment, and it was flipping Graham Hancock.
Yeah.
It's like,
How long ago
oh
was
my
that?
god,
20th.
that was
2020?
2020.
Was
first
there?
lockdown. It was when it
Wow.
was clear blue sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And that
was.
whole month. It was 25-degree weather, unlike it is today. And that's a subject I want to get to in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I met Graham, he's on the same wavelength as I am. I'm going to try and get him on the podcast if possible.
Yeah.
He's got season 2 coming out. But
Oh yeah.
I have to
Ancient
admit, Ancient Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Apocalypse.
First series was great. Yeah.
Yeah,
But, I mean-
it's done really well, apparently.
Oh, no, I look forward to watching it. It was, but yeah, talking about weather, obviously you've got your Rumble channel, Nick, which you want to plug for the.
Yeah. If you go on to Rumble Investigate with Nick, you'll see a bunch of like time-lapse videos. The reason why I do that is that I've been tracking the chemtrails through literally 2 years. So I've got literally a year and a half so far of constant weather, day and night. And there's videos that I haven't uploaded to YouTube yet, or Rumble, Investigate with Nick 89, in terms of really tracking the trails and what they do. I mean, just like a full, but I mean, it was about a couple of weeks ago when it was like really heavy, and I just film every hour, see what they do, does it block out the sun, and all that. So it was a proper analysis. But someone mentioned about weather manipulation, and that's what David Icke did talk about a lot. And chemtrails is a lot in the truth movement at the moment. It wasn't that much back in 2008. It was sort of in the shadows, but a lot of people didn't really know about it. Me and my mum were on the same wavelength. We're both conspiracy theorists, and we always talk about chemtrails, always. But this year has been
Horrendous.
horrendous.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a friend
So
of mine. He goes,
bad.
I spoke to a friend of mine. He goes, "Oh, it's a really good summer this year." I was like, "Mate, do you want to slap? Like, honestly, wake up." I was like, "Dude, honestly," it says you work in Tesco's, so you don't know what the weather's like. I said, I said, and I have no idea. I mean, for instance, me and my mum, we've always grown veg. So I know how weather works. I know how gardens work through being at every day as being my job. And I noticed round about, I say, end of July, when they were spraying heavily, it sort of went to a stop. Tomatoes won't grow. I mean, tomatoes growing hard. My run of beans went hard, and it was worldwide everywhere. We have so much fungi on our trees. They had 250 ash trees they had to cut down because of fungi. And I would love them. Yeah, I'm not joking. And we've got to have trees cut down here. This is all ash trees. I mean, ash trees grow like mad, but
Yeah.
Something's promoting this fungi. And where I live, we have 500-year-old trees, massive oak trees that are potentially at risk of catching this disease.
Wow.
And I spoke to the residents here. I said, "How long has this fungi been going on?" He says, "Well, it's probably in the last less than 10 years. I'm like, you should probably do some tests on just to find out whether or not there's any heavy metals, because it is worldwide everywhere, like cordyline, conifer trees.
Our conker trees, Nick. We've got conker trees right next to us, and we looked it up because it was like the conker tree looks dead all year round. It's got like, and they say, "Oh, it's not going to harm the tree. It's something that came from abroad." But I don't believe that, Nick.
Is the fungi? This fungi has travelled somewhere. I know. I think I got a feeling is come from the sky. It's been quite rampant when it comes to chemtrails this year. I would love to do tests, but it costs a lot of money. It's just to say, look, there is heavy metals and everything. In fact, one of the videos I've got coming out on chemtrails, I was going to show you the page that was on the .gov website, and it was funding for solar radiation management. Now, what people don't realize when it comes to geoengineering and solar radiation management, which is talking about spraying artificial clouds in the atmosphere, in the stratosphere, there's 4 programs for it. There's CCT, cirrus cloud thinning. There's marine sky brightening. There's something called regime sky brightening. There's 4 programs that the government have given out funds, and each 4 programs is worth about £3 million each. And the page is now gone, but I've done a video on it. I've done a full breakdown of what they're doing. So each 4 programs will be over £3 million each, and is properly funded, and it's going to take place for 54 months, and it's going to start beginning of April of 2025. Not saying that they have been doing it, but it's saying when solar radiation management is done at large scale, and it says this in the page, and it's going to take place next year in 2025. So I think next year I think you're going to see a ramp up of chemtrails. And I've always looked up into the sky, and this is the government website admitting to it. And I was like, no one in the chemtrail community was talking about it. I was like, why no one's? But it was so quiet. You literally had to put in solar radiation management .gov modeling. If you just put .gov solar radiation management or geoengineering, nothing would pop up. They kept that so quiet. So I'm so glad I got that. It's going to be coming out probably tomorrow. But I do a full breakdown. I'm going, oh, right, you just admitted. They literally just admitted. So when
they always admit it. The patents go right back for hundred years. There's patents that go back for about 100 years.
Yeah, you posted that.
And you know, I know some people don't. I have been posting an awful lot about the Florida hurricanes. I'm really, for some reason, it's really got underneath my skin. And yes, people come back to me with, oh, it's just the solar minimum, the solar this, that, and the other. I know. We've been to Norway. We've seen the aurora borealis. It's something we love. We know what the sun can do. But there's also shenanigans going on. Okay, so it's almost like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, yes, the sun can do all sorts of things, and yes, we know that there's been a lot of solar activity. We are not stupid. I was actually called lazy on Facebook, lazy researcher. I am a lazy cow, not gonna lie. That's just when it comes to the washing up. When it comes to things that, you know what I mean, when it comes to things that can potentially harm my family, I have a little read about it. So that was rude. And yes, I know that there's massive solar activity and it's affecting A, B, C, and D. There's also mad shenanigans. And I have literally been listening to meteorologists. Honestly, I've been getting about 2 or 3 hours sleep because I've been listening to this Florida thing all through the day, all through the night. These people aren't conspiracy theorists. They think we were nutters. They are saying things like, it's never done that before. We're a little bit confused why it's doing that. How's it done that? To the point where one of them even says, there's a lot of conspiracy theories going around, to the point where I don't know what to think anymore. He is not one of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if these people are saying it, then don't have a go at me because it doesn't fit what you believe is going on in the sky.
Exactly.
You know?
It's like I saw the path of the hurricane from a satellite. HARP is being brought up a lot, where they can actually shoot. I don't know if it's HARP related, but some sort of weapon can actually shoot lasers, and you can see this on the satellite. You can see these beams, and when these beams hit, it actually intensifies the. I mean, technically, hurricane shouldn't intensify when it goes to landfill. It's actually because of obviously the heat from the ocean is actually fueling is basically the energy. That's what a hurricane is. It's just basically energy. So technically, as it goes to landfill, it shouldn't get any intense. It shouldn't intensify, but this one did. And you have a look at the rain. I mean, rain doesn't go in circles all the way across America, and you think, hold on a minute, you just don't see that anywhere. And
I think David mentioned, didn't he?
Yeah, he mentioned it. I mean, to be honest with you, I've never really looked at satellite, so I couldn't say I'm an expert or anything, but rain doesn't go in circles, patterns all across America whilst this hurricane is here. And you had, like you said, Liz, the other day, 150 tornadoes. I mean, gee, come on, that's just there
was even one kind of person. Honestly, I've been watching 2 or 3 of these, and also the storm chasers. They were actually in the eye of Helene and of Milton. They're amazing, brave nutters. They're amazing, but they go in to do the science. They're scientists. They've got PhDs, but they're also crazy, and they're brilliant. And somebody in the chat was just like asking the question to one of these guys, and she was just like, "Why does the weather hate Florida?" And everybody's like, "Oh, you know, weather can't hate." But the fact that she was like, "Why is it ignoring that, and why is it doing that?" Green tea, you've got something to say about this. Green tea's got friends and family over there because she's in America. And is it lithium green tea? Is there's some minerals, isn't there? I couldn't even look into it because I've had it up to here with it, that you can kind of get overload with information, can't you? And it can be a little bit detrimental. But I know Green tea has left a comment about that somewhere. Green, are you around to type it, love?
I can remember David Icke actually brought this up, the Plymouth disaster of 1952.
Oh yeah,
that will be. I've actually talked about that in the chemtrail video I'll be uploading tomorrow. We'll be talking about that. But what was interesting was the fact that the people were seeing these these purple clouds. The sky went purple. That is what they saw in Florida. Whether or not green tea says lithium, but there was some sort of chemical put into the atmosphere and it turned the sky purple. This is what the witnesses saw before the flood happened in 1952 in England. I don't think it's just a coincidence. And I did see on Twitter, I have to admit, Twitter is a bit of a cesspool, but you do get some good information on there in terms of videos that the mainstream media don't see. And I did see Florida. I'm pretty sure it was Florida after the hurricane. The whole sky was bright purple. It was like, so just
it's funny.
It's
That
natural.
limit
Like,
is-
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I mean, that Limoth, it struck me because a friend Nina had just said just the day before that she'd read it in the mainstream, just the local it, and commenting that it was in the mainstream media, and then David mentioned it as well, and yeah, these things are out in the mainstream media now. So it's like, on the one hand, you got all these normies saying, "Oh, you're nutter conspiracy theorists for believing this stuff," and it's like it's just in the mainstream media, and it's all this stuff. I think I saw something like headline on the BBC, an article saying, "Oh, chemtrails are a crazy conspiracy theory, but maybe they could help stop climate change."
I know.
It's
That is
cognitive
in my
dissonance off the fucking scale. Am I right?
yeah, they're literally taking the piss. And I actually, one of my chemtrail videos, I actually put that article up there and saying, "What are you like? You're such a hypocrite." Because you're saying these are conspiracy theories, but oh yeah, let's use this. But it's like using the word conspiracy theorist. The stigma is it's a way of sort of debunking a person. Oh, they're not credible. Forget about it. So I think chemtrail is the same stigma. So I say the word sort of radiation management.
Yeah.
Geoengineering, because when they
Good for you, mate.
When you talk about that to people and they Google that, they're going to get at least some right information.
Yeah, no, you're right to do that, Nick.
I won't say the word chemtrail because you put that in Google,
you get mad nutter.
Exactly,
or,
yeah.
or the debunking. Yeah,
you're right to do that, Nick. You make a good point.
It's trying to work with normies, because I know how people are when they just have something that's so outlandish and they just immediately dismiss it.
Yeah.
But if you say it in a nice, calm manner,
and the scientific actual words, the science,
exactly. And if they say, "Well, if you could you provide any proof?" And this is the other thing. And normally we say,
like, "Yeah,
provide any proof." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, okay. Well, here's the dimming. Here is such and such." It says, "Well, you go check this out, and then come back to me." And with a smile on your face, but they won't. No, they won't. But one person changed their mind in boot camp. I couldn't believe it. It was he's like, actually, he's a middle-aged man, right? He's got great family, 2 kids and a wife, and he goes, "Actually, Nick, I kind of believe what you've been saying." I'm like, "You are a middle-aged man with a family and kids. Why don't you grow balls and actually act like a man?" And just
why are you whispering?
Why are you whispering to me?
Shout it from the bloody rooftops.
It's like David Icke says, just say it like it is. Sod what other people think. If people got offended, that's their problem. That's a you problem. Do you know what I mean? So sod these people. Then if they got offended, they're not your friends in the first place.
The hour is too late, I think, for shutting up. I think the hour is too late,
Yeah.
We could pussyfoot around and be careful and cautious all we wanted, but oh my fucking God, we're coming to the point now where if we don't do something, it's too fucking late.
Yeah.
And even if it is, Nick, I don't want to look at my grandchildren and say, "I didn't do fuck all, love." I want to say, "I did a shitty podcast." I opened my gob, my loudest asset. I at least I did that. At least,
you are aware of the plan, which is so flippant obvious. My nan, who's 88 years old, she's still here, clean bill of health. She's lived through the bombing of World War II, been through God knows how many recessions and all that. And finally, because I've been seeing her every week or so, she still cooks me a roast dinner. It's the best roast dinner ever.
Can we come?
I talk about you can anytime, because she started to realize after 88 years how much she's been lied to. It's because we talk like we're talking now. She's always been, I say, a normie. She still reads the Mirror newspapers, still watch the BBC. And I said, and she was saying, "Why do governments lie so much?" And I was like, "Nan, sit down. Pour yourself a cup of tea. Let's have a little chat." And I'll explain.
Actually, we might need a big teapot, my love.
a big, massive teapot.
Yeah, I tell you what, my mum was she never used to listen to a word I said. Okay, bless her. I'm looking at a picture of her now. She's up there, and she's passed away now. But I used to come in with her, and it was in the days when I'm a bit more careful. No, I'm not. I don't know. Anyway, I used to try and ram a bottle of red pills down her neck every day. Weren't getting anywhere. But
not literally, by the way.
Not literally. I just said she passed away, and they said I tried to phone.
Anyway,
where's this going? Anyway, so she just thought I was talking nonsense. But if she heard something on the telly, if Tellyman told her, then it was real. So she said to me one day, she went, "Here, you'll be interested in this. She had it written on a bit of paper. She went, Bohemian Grove. It's where Bohemian Grove is where all the presidents go." I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I said, I have been fucking banging on to you about Bohemian Grove, a fucking Alex Jones, for the last 10 years. But because she saw it on a square box and Tellyman told her, it's fucking real now. Bohemian Grove on a bit of paper. Absolutely hilarious.
It's a bit like my nan won't use any artificial sugar. So that's why I've been there, and aspartame's really bad. I'm like, oh, bloody hell, I'm surprised by that. Like, wow.
Amazing. Amazing, isn't it? Yeah. That is so amazing.
So let's
get back to David Icke somehow, Nick. Let's shoehorn old Icke, seeing as that's what we promised on the tin.
Yeah, sure.
So did you say, Nick, what your favourite...
Oh, hold on a minute. You glitched out a little bit.
You're
back.
I know he talked about the chemtrails and he talked about that, but was your favourite bit when he talked about the chemtrails, or was there something else that really stuck out to you and you took away and you were like, wow, that's going to do me some good,
I just think the overall just experience, that the fact that he's solidifying the plan is like, okay, all right, there's something going on. I'm not stupid, I think we're all on the same page here, like the 50-minute CTs and stuff like that. So that's what I got out of it, but it's a positive outcome to the end of the conference. I think that's what really got me to say, okay, I think things will, in my videos to come, but I always try to put something positive at the end to say, look, things will be okay. I know things are bad at the moment, but so was World War II. That was a bloody awful thing that happened. So things will turn around and people are waking up. Like I said, it was to a packed crowd, and I'm pretty sure if it was an even bigger arena, he would have packed the thing out. No problem.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So I think there is hope. I know this is we're at the bottom of the barrel, baby, right now. It's this, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't want to be harsh, but I think next year might be a bit worse.
That's what they're predicting, isn't it? It's almost like, right, get your life jackets on, guys. And in my opinion, and it's the reason we started doing these live streams, and we did a few bits and pieces, and we started up a few bits and pieces in the lockdown to get people together. So that chat box that you guys are in is the most important bit on this whole live stream. And that's the only reason me and Mark decided to do this. It wasn't because we thought we had something clever to say. I was just about to say it's not because we like the sound of our own voice, but I obviously do because I never shut up. But we wanted a place for people to come and make like-minded friends. We wanted to bring people together in that chat box every Saturday night because maybe there's some lonely people out there, and we felt pretty lonely for a long time, and I think that's where the hope comes from, is with other people. We can't do this alone, and if you can find a place, and if it's just a chat box, you can even turn me and Mark down, turn us bloody down, and just chat to your mates in the chat box. We've done our jobs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think David Icke was talking about, the lockdown protests, and saying, there was a practical thing, an outcome of it, and he was saying he thought that it actually helped to end the lockdown sooner than maybe they would have done. But also just saying that there was just that incredible energy of all people sharing this thing together, and and I thought the police aren't going to arrest us all. We're a mass of humanity, that coming together and sharing of energy, sharing, like you've been saying, a common aim, and no matter what the backgrounds of people are, and some beliefs will be different amongst people, but just this overriding thing about something's not right, something's being done to us which isn't right, and we need to get together to show that there's another way, and you know,
and it must be important because they're trying to stop it so badly.
Well, yeah, that's
exactly. This is it.
They know that people coming together, it's like they're closing down the pubs, and like, or they're making it too expensive for people to go out and meet people. They're saying work from home, and it's like, oh yeah, brilliant. Mark loves working from home. You know, you get that commute time back, but it's not really good for us. So we need to. Yes, it's convenient and it's comfortable staying at home.
We
but
wouldn't want to do it all the time.
No.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. And you know, I think we've seen the consequences of that. The mental health in kids, because they haven't been. I mean, they want us to do Zoom meetings and they want to do school over the internet. What are you talking about? So because they don't want us to come together, that's why we have to come together, because there's some power in it.
Yeah, it's a good point. DJB2 is, I think a lot of people are starting to wake up to the tyranny of what Starmer. He don't own this. He's going with the plan. He's just another puppet master. I think the more he's pushing, that is not helping the British public. The more people are going to start waking up and saying, "Hold on a minute, what is going on?" Because I think the British public are at their wits at the moment. I think they're at an emotional knife edge, and they have been since we had the last so-called government that come in, and then this twat waffle comes in and then screws everything up, and then people are going, "Oh yeah, you clearly don't care." And it comes to the point now, it's like, who do we vote for? But voting doesn't really matter, because it's like I said,
so maybe people are realizing that more.
Absolutely nonsense. I think it's childish to think that there's a difference between a red and a blue and a green and a pink. I'm actually calling it out and being quite rude. I think it's childish. If you think Trump's a savior, or you think Labour is a savior, or you think Farage is a savior, I'm sorry for being quite rude. I do apologise, but I think that's quite a childish way of seeing the world these days, because it's been proved. It's been proved.
Yeah. We've had this conversation. I'm actually on the same wavelength as Ben when it comes to Trump.
Yeah, I won't always be, mate.
But honestly, but I know. But the thing is, the thing is, he got in power before, and if this don't work out,
and did fuck all, mate.
I don't know about that, because I heard.
Is the swamp clear? Is the swamp cleared? What is this bullshit? We know who's at the top of this. Do you seriously think they're going to allow one of us at the top with the crown on? Do you really? Nonsense, my little love. And I can have a conversation with Nick because we're friends and we're grown up, aren't we, Nick?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We're grown up.
Because David Icke was talking about it yesterday, and I'm definitely not ruling that out at all. I think the truth movement. I say the truth movement. I think the people of America really had enough, and they really want a difference. Whether or not it's going to happen or not, I don't know. This is it. Times will change. Times will tell. This is it. It's going to be a tricky one.
He's taking the shekel, mate. He's actually on one. He's actually got. They've made a coin. A shekel. I say that because I don't want to get myself banned. I've got one more strike left. He's actually on a shekel. They've carved him into one. The you know who. Yeah. I keep telling everybody, go and see Adam Green on Rumble. No more news. Your mind is going to be blown away. He's taking the shekel. That. He's on the fucking shekel.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, we're still mates, so aren't we, my love?
Yeah, honestly.
We're still mates.
There is like, so many people.
For Sunday lunchtime. Fuck off.
You're paying. You're paying for the next meal. But no, this is the beauty of, we don't have to have the same opinions about anything. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys. When my chemtrail videos, right, I kind of look at both sides, because I've got 25 books here that show trails, and I'm going, look, we can see these trails happen before, but they're nothing like they are the scale now. But Dane Wigginson from Geoengineering Watch is saying he's done tests and there are heavy metals, but the mainstream media is saying this, and then but I'll go back to this. So with my videos, it's really going back and forth. So it may sound like I come across as a skeptic, but the chemtrail community, I have to admit, oh my God, they are the most horrible people. Like literally, I had so much abuse, threatened abuse. This is going
Why?
back a few
Because
years
you were
ago.
being an honest researcher.
Yeah. I was just like saying, like, oh look, this just trails from 1968 from this photograph, and they go, no, that photograph is fake. It's like, no, here's the book, and it's like, no, you're a shill, you're a global shill. I'm like, no, I'm not. And literally the amount of abuse is like their way or the highway. So I sort of do address that.
Yeah,
but I've
well,
held off. I mean, it's but oh no, chemtrails exist. Oh my God, I mean, there's so much proof on the internet for it. But it's the people with is changed. I mean, put it this way. I mean, I do thank you for you two coming on to Hidden Underbelly yesterday. We had a great time with you.
Oh yeah,
and
fun.
Hidden, he does get quite stoned. And his Vladimir
You didn't actually
thing
have to point that out, Nick. It's
pretty obvious.
Who cares?
It's pretty obvious.
We don't judge anybody.
But his Vladimir, not Vladimir Putin, it was Vladimir.
I've learned some things I didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Really?
Yeah, I was like, really? But anyway, but
that was really interesting. And Mark will probably buy 17 books on that now. And you'll have to listen to 5 fucking live streams about it. So thanks.
My wife's the biggest fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was good. But the reason why I bring up Hidden is because I've asked him this. I said, Hidden, mate, have you not noticed there's a change in people after the pandemic, after the C word? And he goes, no, mate. No, they've always been like that. I said, no, something has changed. And the amount of people I'm speaking to, and they said, yeah, something's changed after the pandemic. But Hidden doesn't think so. He says, no, mate, the only people that has changed is you, because you now realize what people have always been like. But I was like, yeah, but people are more aggressive, more on edge. I mean, sure, because of the social and political stuff going on, which is understandable, especially after COVID. But there's something vibrationally that's changed. You can kind of feel it in the air.
You know what I think it is? I think we've all got post-traumatic stress disorder, and I'm not actually joking about that. We've all kind of been at war. They used to call it shell shock back in the day, but they call it post-traumatic stress disorder now. And it has a visceral, it's trauma, basically, in a nutshell. And your body produces cortisol and all this nonsense when you're in trauma. And you do react more aggressively, or you go into yourself, or you do all sorts of things you wouldn't usually do. And that, on a global level, I think, and we're all a little bit, we don't, back in the day, you just used to live your life. You'd go, you'd get up in the morning, my kids are at college or whatever. They're going to be having kids and getting married, and, then they're going to blah, 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 blah. Now it's like, shit, am I going to be locked up? We've all got that. It's like shell shock. I think personally.
Sure. No, they got a good point, Liz. Yeah, definitely. I think it's a combination of things that has been going on, especially the ramp up of fear. Everything's a crisis now, isn't it? I mean, especially after the C word. Oh, crisis. And I think that is what people are on edge. But again, don't believe everything you see on the mainstream media. Like I said, Operation Mockingbird. I mean, I couldn't believe the stuff that they were putting out about Cuba. I was like, oh my God, like, literally, you're really pushing false information. And that is still been a continuation. I mean,
it's never stopped.
It's never stopped. So I'm very skeptical of what information comes out. Andy Thomas, I remember in one of his lectures, he shows this terrorist bomb that exploded, this car bomb.
That's right.
He said 15 civilians died, and then it actually had the CCTV footage, and you can see these people putting bombs in the car. There was no one around it. The car exploded, and all these about 15 people walked up, dropped to the floor, going, "Oh!"
And then got up and fucked off.
I got afterwards pissed off.
Got up and fucked off.
But the mainstream media the mainstream media in England was saying, 15 people died and all that. It was absolute fake. So if they could do that back then, this was going back a few years ago, they can do it now.
Absolutely. No, I was just going to, just going back to Icke again, when you were talking about the fear, and as he was saying, obviously a number of other people have said the same thing, but obviously that fear is that energy, that frequency that the nasty people or nasty entities or whatever feed off, you know, and that's what we've got to try and get away from, to try and get out of that, although it's difficult because they're ramping things up and throwing so many things at us, but to try and change that and get out of that fear energy, because that's what gives them power and that's what they feed off, you know. But like you say, even in the so-called truth community, that can also be a thing as well, and there can be fear sown in that respect as well. So it's
absolutely,
it's difficult. Got to try and get a balance, like we came in on, really.
I think when it comes to the fear, I think is what David Icke talked about, problem, reaction, solution. Because there's so much fear, they're going to offer the solution to the problem that probably didn't even exist in the first place. You know, so I think they're pushing so much stuff, and people are going, oh my God, like they literally run around in circles, disoriented, because there's just so much crap thrown at them on a daily basis. You know, World War III is going to happen. World War III is going to happen. It's like, look, World War III is not going to happen. It's probably already happened already. You know what I mean?
I think they're already in it. They've just changed how they do it. They don't actually need guns anymore, do they?
Well,
you know,
I remember hearing
got energy weapons.
Well, they're true. Yeah, all that. I mean,
and psychological warfare.
On a different level, I remember hearing a phrase, and funny, it was Henry Kissinger, I think, said it, and he's Illuminati, or you know, he was well up there with all the agenda. But I remember him referring to it as a third world war, meaning it was taking place in the third world. So, you know, for the decades after the Second World War finished, there was still continual wars going all on, but normally they were taking place in what's regarded as the third world, you know, the countries in Africa and South America. But now, obviously, it's a different kind of war that's happening. Well, there is the blowing up kind as well, but also there's all the war of information and
war on the mind.
Yeah, the war on the mind. Yeah.
War on the family, war on marriage, war on friendship, war on communities, war on
nature.
Exactly.
The world.
War on humanity and everything that means to be human. Food, air, friends, jobs. You know, there's a war on all of it, and that's what was getting me down in the dumps the other day, because I'm like,
I understand.
The farmers, the big farmers, the bloody the weather, the water, the air, and I was just like going down and down and down, and I was like, oh my God, it's felt so heavy and dense. That's what he talked about as well, wasn't it? You know, you say things like, oh, I feel really light today. Or you say, oh, God, you know, you feel so... You even do that, don't you? You just do that. And it is because it's all energy and frequencies. And they want us in the depressed frequency because that's their din-dins, isn't it? That's their loosh, as they call it. And in order to not let them win, you can't be a psychopath and go, oh, I don't care about wars. I don't care about this, that, and the other. You have to care and you have to do what you can, but you can't stay there. You have to come and have a giggle with us in the live chat, or you have to go and meet your mate in a David Icke thing. You know what I mean? You have to do other things so that you're not giving them the loosh, whatever you want to call it, that they actually want.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're really trying to latch on to the fear prospects, because people, you know, because they can't really think for themselves. I mean, this is the vast majority of the public. I mean, especially like my generation, you know, it's just on their phones constantly. They just they don't have any thought process. You know, they have to have someone to think for them. You know, daddy government needs to help you with everything, you know, because they can't process any information at all. So I think they're kind of relying on those sort of people who are they're fine with 50-minute cities. They're fine with chemtrails being sprayed because it's supposed to help us.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're just
lenient.
I mean, phones, social media. I mean, every time I see someone or on their phone is one of the biggest psychological brainwashing techniques is this phone right here. It really is, isn't it? You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. When I had my cut on my hand, I was sat on A&E and I was on my phone, and I'm judging people and going, hold on, I'm on my bloody phone, you know.
My 27-year-old just had a go at me. My 27-year-old was like, bloody hell, kids on their phones today. And he had a bloody point. what
It's
what
true,
what
though.
am I doing? So it's not just. I don't even think it's like whatever your generation is. We got names for generations now. Apparently, what are we? Gen X. Apparently, it's quite funny. We're quite hardcore because apparently, if you believe the memes, we're hardcore because we drank from the hose, which is brilliant.
Which hose were they?
I'm not quite. Actually,
Bloody
that's
hell,
it
Mark.
today. But to be fair, I don't think it is just the young'uns because it's addictive. It's like alcohol. It's like nicotine. It's an addictive thing. Why do you think they don't let that? Why do you think Silicon Valley dads say, I'm not fucking giving my kid one of those machines? We make it so that it presses your endorphin buttons, my love. We don't want our kids addicted to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they know what they're bloody well doing.
I was two scenarios. Boot camp. Before we have boot camps, some of the people bring their kids in and they're just on their tablets or phone. No communication. It was like, I think it's just when they're shut the kids up. And this is the second bit. When me and the missus were out shopping, this kid was screaming. I thought, what the hell was that bloody kid screaming? What did their mum like tell him to shut up or something? And eventually the kid, after like 10 minutes, shut up. I was like, oh, thank God, she must have done something. And the only thing she did was to put that in front of the kid's face.
It's a babysitter, mate.
Exactly. It's like, why
It's
not
a
tell the kid,
babysitter.
Respect, don't shout. My mum would have clipped me by the ear if I was starting bloody. Well, I know she did, but you know, it's old fashioned back then. It's what you did. It's not abuse. It's just telling the kid respect. You don't shout in a public area. Oh yeah, exactly, right and wrong. And I think.
But to be fair, Nick, we're older than you. I wasn't taken to public areas. My mum never used to go to the pub for lunch. Do you know what I'm saying? My mum would have had some stuff in the garden. She'd have just brought in and gave me a sandwich. And then I'd been out playing with my mate up the road, picking the roses, shoving in a bit of water and saying, look, come and buy me perfume. That's what we used to do. Idiots. It's fucking stank. But I wasn't dragged around supermarkets because they didn't exist. I always bang on about my favourite thing and my favourite childhood memory, and I wish it could come back now. And this is true. It was a greengrocer. I've said this before, but I love it. It makes me happy when I think of this. He was a greengrocer. He had a green van. He was called Mr. Green, and he used to drive around something outside of my house, which is called The Green. And how brilliant is that? And, you know, he used to come along, and I was saying to Mark, he'd have everything on his van. He'd have vegetables. He'd have a little bit of chocolate if you wanted it for the kids. He'd have your little bit of orange juice, which was a treat. And then my nan might have grown some extra fucking mint in the garden, so she'd give that to him. And then we'd have the baker come round and the cottage loaves. I wasn't dragged around Weatherspoons for me dinner. I wasn't dragged around Tesco's for me dinner. I had it delivered to me. It was healthy. And then I went and played with my mate up Joanne up the road with the guinea pigs. You know? So we never used to do that bullshit. We weren't dragged kicking and screaming in a car to 20 miles away to buy processed shite. We just weren't. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I also hate Tesco's, especially in Bristol where I live. It's just
there's almost a riot on Stokes Croft, wasn't there?
Yeah,
there was a riot, wasn't there?
There was a bloody riot there. Yeah.
Were you around at the time when that happened, Nick?
Yeah. Don't live too far from Stokes Croft. It's such a new age, millennial, hippie. No offense, don't be stereotyping, but don't wash. I mean, I look after a trading estate up in Gloucester Road, which is basically Stokes Croft. So I'm there every week. It's a shithole. There's trash everywhere. Where I look after the trading estate, there's homeless people. Okay, I don't really want to tell them to go, but I mean they haven't got nowhere else to go. But they're dropping needles, which I have to pick up. There's trash everywhere. They literally shit everywhere. I'm literally human shit, and I'm thinking.
Oh, I know. This is happening to my son who lives in. He's not rich, and we're not posh. He's up London. He got a cheap apartment in Canary Wharf. He's had it 3 years. He has to move now because he nearly steps in human shit when he's walking to work. Human shit. What are we talking about?
But this is like the new age thing. It's like, it's a hip and new age. It's like, no, it's
shit in the streets.
Yeah, shit in the street. But this is like the millennial type of progression. We're getting progressive now. This is why I can't stand my generation. I'm technically known as a millennial. everyone thinks a millennial. They're thinking, oh, they're bloody, you know, like I say, new age.
Go and drink from
purple
at
hair.
home. That'll sort you out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but I'm old-fashioned. I believe in
Yeah.
traditional values. I believe in family values. A mum and a dad, not a single mum. You know, like, oh, I have a baby, and then the dad pisses off because he don't care. It's like, no, that's doesn't work in my. This is why I don't have kids. I don't really think there's any future anyway. That's my opinion. But that was sound a bit
I know. It's,
dark and
how
harsh.
bad's that though?
But I know. But the thing is, I'm not a kid person though, and neither my missus. So we're sort of worked. But no, if we don't want kids, we're not going to have kids, and we've been together 12 years. So, but this is like the social norm. It's like you have to have kids. It's like I hate these people, these women like my age
Not
going, I
these
don't
days,
need
mate.
no man. Yeah, it's like I don't need no man.
Not these
I'm a
days.
single woman, and you think you're going to change your mind soon. Within, you know,
And how sad is
only
that?
matters.
Bless them.
It's sad, isn't it?
You know,
But it's
my
also
heart
to do
goes
with
out for
social
people.
media. It's got to do with social
Yeah.
media. They've been like literally this women empowerment. It's great to have women, you know, being empowered, but it's like you don't have to be a bitch about it. You know what I mean? It's
It's
like
so
some
sad.
like
It really is.
It's like some feminists, you know. I mean, my missus, you know, in fact, she was a feminist, but like quite hardcore. But it's some people just like take it overboard where they just hate men. It's like, whoa, like where's the boundary here? Where's
But
like
it's
time
social
out? No.
conditioning, mate, isn't it? It's social conditioning. You know,
Yeah,
and they're a product of. They're just as much a product of the arseholes as any of us. Do you know what I mean? They've been brought up since day one to think, get a career. You know, it's almost, you look down your nose at mums, you know?
Yeah.
Why didn't you go and get a career in banking? Or do you know what I mean? You know, and this is all, you know, I can never remember the name of the bloody woman that infiltrated the feminist movement in the 60s. It wasn't Germaine Greer before anybody else. Like
Steinem.
Steinem.
Was it Steinem?
She even admits she was in the CIA. She was paid to infiltrate the feminist movement to stop mums being like, they call them trad wives. And it's really sad because being a trad wife, that is actually an insult now. A woman that wants to have a child and quite likes cooking and quite likes putting a meal on the table for her husband because he quite likes doing his job. Apparently, that's derogatory, but this is social conditioning and it was infiltrated. Of course, there needed to be equality for women. Nobody's saying that there shouldn't have been equality, but women don't have to be men. That's not equality. And you know what I mean? It's gone. Sure. It was infiltrated in the 60s on purpose to break up the family, which is sad.
It's a similar thing. Yeah, about Mockingbird, Nick. You know, it was that same.
Yeah.
Or you know, maybe a different program, but different aims, but the same sort of thing: manipulating culture, manipulating perception.
We're all victims to
change,
it.
You know,
we're all victims of it. You know.
This is why. This is what I don't want to like diverge, but somebody says to me, "Oh, Putin's going to invade the world, and World War III is going to happen." It's like, hold on a minute. If you listen to what he says. We're all America and England. We're already destroying ourselves through food, the water, through social. It's they're destroying themselves by.
Yes.
I know Putin knows about the bloody deep state, and you know people are being psychologically. I mean, I was going to say raped them, but yeah, you get what I mean. You know, psychologically, you know, sort of brainwashed, manipulated. Yeah, sorry, that's the word. So he says. Leave them to it. They're fine. Just don't drop any bombs near me. It's like they're fine, fair enough. So
if you don't mind,
it's the social norm now. It's like being sucked into the system. I call it the Instagram filter. Everyone's, you know, the normies, you know, they've got the Instagram filter like right in front of them, and they just cannot see through it. It's just, the people that just crave likes and everything. I mean, I don't want to go off anything a bit personal, but there's a guy in boot camp. He's got Asperger's and stuff like that. He's had a bit of trouble with the social. He had social anxiety and stuff like that. And then one day he started using TikTok, and he ended up having like millions of views. And one thing he was doing is shoving his face in custard and food. And it was just like, yeah, I know.
What?
It was
shoving his face.
It was, I know. And just like different types of food.
Did you say shoving his face in custard?
Yes, and
Well,
then
actually,
going
putting his face in
his
custard.
face in custard and
Was
shaking
that
it
a
around.
euphemism? Or was it real custard?
No, it's real custard, but he'd do other food and different stuff like that. And he would get millions of, I know, Liz, I said, how are you getting millions of views and thousands of comments? But
That
the thing
poor
is,
bloke there. See this guy? He's got a full-time job. He comes home. He researches like a motherfucker to bring some interesting dialogue on a Saturday night to people. We're lucky if we get 60 views. Mark, do it with custard next week.
I was going to say our next live stream.
I couldn't believe it, and I said, but no, he's put his face in sand. He's put his face in like chocolate. Literally, is
now. Do you want to know something, Nick? A couple of years ago, we've got a video on here, and it's called, it's an open letter to the Illuminati, and it's saying, "Please, can we join? Because I can't be around these fucking idiots anymore." We haven't had a reply yet, but I'm thinking about writing it again. I fucking think they got a point. Fucking get rid of the idiot. I'm going to join them. Get rid of what? Dear the Illuminati.
But I mean,
again,
though, Nick, it's all tapping in, because we know the thing, like you said, is the guy a bit Asperger's, but we know that's increasing because of things we can't talk about that is affecting people's mentality with that, and then there's anxiety, and again that all also goes in with the technology, with all this thing on the phones and the dopamine hits, and it's all making people's brains work in a different way. And again, it's all getting generations of people that are going to be easily programmable into the agenda that they want, and because they're just going to be following this. They want to follow a set program, and they want to be told what to do, and everything be in a neat box, and go from one place to another, and don't deviate, and don't just suddenly go, "Oh, I'm going to go on a wild adventure." No, you want to just.
Well, it's like Nick was saying, "Daddy government." You know,
is what it is.
Parents have given me the rules. You know, it's almost like when, what is it they call it, when you've been in prison too long, or you've been what is it,
institutionalized.
Institutionalized. Boom. That's what's happening. People are being institutionalized to not be with other people, to be in front of a square box. Look what we're all doing now. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you now, if all of us were together in an actual real room, we would have that same energy that we had at the David Icke thing, Nick. Do you know what I'm saying?
I agree.
If all of those people in that chat box, if they all came around my house, well, don't, because I don't hoover very often, but if you all came around here, oh my God, can you imagine the energy? Can you imagine the vibration, to use a new age term? Because I'm feeling it through the fucking internet, but can you imagine how we'd be feeling, Nick, if we were all in a room? We're thinking of having something called Conspiramus, a party for conspiracy theories, conspiracy theorists, and we're dressing up. Me and Mark are going to be the Twin Towers, and Connor's going to be Building 7.
I'll be the hologram. The plane hologram. I'll be the energy weapon.
Well, according to
he goes on his way. Quick, hoover up, Mark. Get the bloody hoover out.
Well, an earlier post for Ego, he said his plot twist, Mark is going to give a speech at the next Icke event. Be a good shot for the channel. Well, I like you put in a good word for me, Ego. I'm sure you've got the big man's
the power of positive thinking, they call it. It was hilarious. It's hilarious. Of course, everybody else was just like shyly smiling at Jamie. I went, "Here, let's have a photograph." So we all had a photograph with Jamie Icke, and I was like, "Oh, Jamie, now we've had a photograph with you. Maybe we'll get a photograph with the great man himself." And he said, "No, Gareth's not here." He had a great sense of humour. He was a lovely guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, really, really nice guy. He's surprisingly tall.
He was like 90 Nephilim. Some people might say. So Ben is about 6'2".
6'2", yeah.
He was taller than Ben. He must have been about 6'4". Massive.
Yeah.
Definitely Jamie seems much more confident talking and getting up on stage, because it was Gareth who was the one who was more of the, obviously he was a performer as well, a musician, and he seemed more natural in in front of the camera or, you know, talking in front of people. But
No, he was
Jamie
great.
seems, you know, really confident. He came across really well, and
Yeah,
it was quite funny as well.
amused him.
Yeah, seems like a good guy.
So, Mark,
Yeah.
what was your takeaway from the Icke thing? So mine was, just in case anybody missed it, when he said, have a blank piece of paper. I'd heard this before, but it really resonated this time. And I'm going to take it on board even more deep. Have the blank piece of paper, and with regards to what you believe, and only things that earn it go on that blank piece of paper. Why do they earn it? Because I've looked it up and I've found it to be true. And you don't even have to look it up and do research. Chemtrails, look in the sky. Oh, that's not 16 planes over Bargate's box. What you doing? We don't even have an airport round here. So
Oh, you
Oh, we're back, I think.
click it.
here we go.
You're back.
back.
You're back. You're good.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I was
think
just going to say. So is that the person I know? In the comment there. I'm not going to say his name. Oh, hold on, you glitched out again. Crafties, your internet's terrible.
to wind down.
That was in Rods.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
Yeah, it's Pete.
Yes, Pete.
Pete. That's
Six
Pete.
nutters went to Avebury.
We'll be seeing you and Pete next.
Yes. Brilliant. No, looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. It's Pete. Brilliant. Brilliant. Nice to see you, Pete. And Crafty, you've gone funny again. Hold on.
You might have to go solo, Nick. This isn't fucking working out, is it?
That's all right. No, you're back now. You're right.
All right.
Did you catch that?
Yeah,
That Pete's got a new YouTube channel. Everybody subscribe to Whisperoon, our friend, our good friend Pete, who's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he's Starman. Does amazing travels around and great,
very knowledgeable
photography of amazing sites and interesting stories and stuff like that. So it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah,
seeing your channel, Pete, develop. So yeah, I mean, my takeaway, I suppose, we've already talked about it, but the idea of, you know, even after death, it's like there's a trap there potentially, and it's still just this idea of everything being one consciousness. And I can't remember the exact way he phrased it, but like humans need to get over being human or something like that. But this,
it was brilliant. Everybody laughed, didn't they?
Yeah, it's again, it's just
stop thinking you're human.
Yeah,
your consciousness.
Breaking down divisions. I know this is nothing new, but just seeing beyond all that, and we are saying that about human, but we are a common humanity. But more than that, we're all part of the giant consciousness. You know, I do believe that. I do think everything.
What is it they say that he didn't say this, but it's quite, there's only one person in the room at any one time.
Yeah,
I quite like that.
And I mean, I mean, ironically, and I know that because as Liz said, we were on this small protest, you know, for Palestine, and I know so many people that are in the truth community or whatever. You know, again, it's been sort of shoveled into different areas. So a lot of people that would agree with us on lockdowns and things like that are anti the Palestinians. And, you know, again, it's all got compartmentalized. It's all about people fighting each other who should be just concentrating on the people above that are causing the mayhem. People in charge of all different countries, you know, it doesn't matter. But, you know, funny enough, some of the speakers there were talking about, oh, you know, we're a common humanity. And there was a Jewish guy got up and he said, you know,
not in my name.
Yeah, what Israel's doing is not in my name. And, you know, it shouldn't be about religion and these racial divides. It's just
people killing people,
terrible things happening to innocent people. And that's just got to stop. And it doesn't matter who's doing the bombing or whatever. Just stop it. Just and that's all. And there shouldn't be any
stop the bombing,
equivocation please. About that.
Don't look left, don't look right, look up, because that's who's fucking doing it.
Yeah,
it ain't somebody with a blue badge on. It ain't somebody with a fucking pink badge on.
But I mean, this demonstration, you know, there were people there, you know, and they're the drums, but which had the Extinction Rebellion.
Just said David Byrne. I'm sorry. Sorry. My favourite band. Carry on.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, it's there were people there with Extinction Rebellion on, and you know, a couple of people with masks, and people that probably were anti us
100%.
in many of the things that we go on about.
They had bloody Extinction Rebellion stickers, and we're not about that.
I'm just
life.
hoping that more of them, because when we were in Oxford, of course, that's pretty Illuminati central sort of thing. But there was actually some posters there about protest, and it was like "Stop the Far Right," which they'd probably consider some of us to be in that category. But then it was also "And Starmer," so it's like.
Oh, it was
all
such
these
a
sort
good
of
thing. It was such a good
wokies
thing.
that but then they're caught up and they're thinking, oh well, that's not right. But then we're against him as well.
But it was such an interesting poster because it was from the Socialist Party, right? It was a really interesting poster, and I got a picture of it. So it was like, "Stop the Far Right, stop Starmer, consider or join socialism," or whatever it was. But somebody scribbled out on the right and scribbled out on the left, and so it actually said, "Join the CIA." And it was just like really clever, and it was like, you don't realize you both want the same thing. You both want the same thing. You want the terror to stop, and you want arseholes at the top to stop. But you're coming against each other when you should both be going, hold on a minute,
yeah,
they both wanted the same thing.
This is part of Operation Mockingbird. It's you're feeding both sides, and I've said this before. It doesn't work for the mainstream media. It works for the truth movement as well. There are people in there. I know I would say shills is a common term just to dismiss people, but there have been people in there to put information out there. It's like doing this, but actually you're doing that. This is like
100%. Yeah.
But you're actually doing this at the same time.
Yeah, look at this. Yeah,
as David mentioned, a lot of the, they would talk about organized religion, and there was someone from Italy there that was asking him to talk about, the Vatican, and he was saying how a lot of how was he describe it as the new sort of alternative mainstream media, the people like Tucker Carlson and things like Russell Brand and stuff like, and a lot of them have put out good information over the years, but then they've got. I'm
so sorry. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Right, go and read it. Ego Shredders. This deserves to be broadcast.
You might only understand that from England.
Ego Shredder. I wandered into the CIA by accident once. Came home with a winter coat.
He means C&A. That used to be an old department store. Sorry, Mark.
That always reminds me of
derailed.
Someone I used to work with who was came out with some comments like that completely by accident, and and she wanted to say something about MI5, but she ended up saying MFI, which is another.
My ex-mother-in-law was really proud because her husband was putting her up a dildo rail. It's a dildo rail to everybody else on the planet. She was getting a dildo rail. She was in her 80s. I'm just saying.
Well,
fucking roundabouts.
Well, swingers and roundabouts by the sounds of it.
Yeah. We're having that one.
Yeah.
We're having that one.
Brilliant.
We're all consciousness having an experience.
I can never remember. We're all that has been, is been, ever was been. But he says it better, but I can never say it right.
And I'm a has been, but I never was been.
Never was been. Oh,
it's all
I'm
good.
going in the bit. Something else about.
Oh God, we've lost a bloody plot. So
right.
that was your favourite bit.
Yeah, I mean, because so much good information, but I suppose a lot of it was, things we know about, and the important things to be said. But I think that is a thing that
I got to get rid of that because it's making me laugh too much.
That is. I say it's David Icke apart. It's not at all that he's the only one saying it.
No.
But I think it is an important other level. I mean, he was saying how because he was interviewed by Derek Bowes of the Conscious Resistance, who did a thing in Bath, which we didn't go to because it's too expensive. But he was saying, Derek Bowes was saying, what
bros.
Sorry. All right, bro. And he was saying about that there were certain things, like he had people who were into sort of, I guess you could call it new agey stuff or consciousness stuff, but he couldn't talk to them about conspiratorial side of things because they'd say, "Oh, you're bringing me down, man," and that's negative energy.
Yeah.
But then conspiratorial theorist friends that he couldn't talk about the consciousness stuff because they'll say, oh, you know, that's wishy-washy pie in the sky stuff, and we need to concentrate on the stuff about, you know, solving the problems of the world sort of thing. But he was saying that the two should be absolutely one and the same, and they're part of the same struggle. And I think probably that's the truth. I mean, I thought it was a bit wishy-washy when I was on Richie Allen, and I just had to think of my feet when he
You
sort of
really were. I can't even listen to it. It's so embarrassing. Love you.
Thanks.
Love you.
And he said, what's the solution? And I said love, but that's basically what David said as well. Yeah.
And I agree now.
Thanks.
But it's taken me 8 years.
It's taken David to say it. It's didn't bloody take any notice when I bloody said
Bohemian Grove. It's fucking true.
Do you think love? Do you think love will really save the day?
It's the only thing that will. Smith's song. If it's not love, then it's the bomb, the bomb, the bomb, the bomb, the bomb, the bomb, the bomb that will bring us together. Of course it is. Of course it is. It's got to be one or the other. You know what I mean? What's going to unite humanity? Yeah. Fucking bomb or love? It can only be love. It can only be love.
I wish someone should have said that to Hitler before he started doing his thing.
Everybody else in the whole world that, you know, it is the only thing.
I'm going to be honest with you. There's a festival that happens near me, and it's called Love Will Save the Day. And the people that turn up just dance, smoke weed, take drugs, save the world, man. I'm like, yeah, but you're just dancing and really kind of like not really doing anything.
Maybe they're not doing it right then, Nick. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when I say love, I genuinely mean love. I mean,
yeah, there's too many fake people about this. I think that we're having no meaning to it. You know what I mean?
I think that there is a difference, and I suppose there is, like we were talking about manipulation, and there is quite often a thing, and obviously there's been talk about the manipulation of the hippie movement in the 60s, which, you know, I loved it, although I wasn't in that time, but I went back and liked a lot of music stuff. But manipulation of that idea, where it does become wishy-washy in the way that it's framed and stuff, so it becomes a distraction. So, you know, obviously, like with Icke, he's 100% what's going on in the world and calling out the terrible things that are happening. But it's never getting away from the fact that this isn't the most, you know, this isn't where things end, and there's much more than that beyond us and everything. So I think you need to have a foot in both camps, really, in a way.
I understand.
And Linda, I was just about to say almost exactly the thing. Linda's just said, love is not what I thought it was. And I know what she means by that, because it's kind of, I can't even put it into words what I mean by love, because I don't mean roses on Valentine's Day. You know, I don't mean nonsense with the Kardashians, or do you know what I'm saying? But what is the opposite to love?
Hate.
And what gets us into wars? Love or hate? What gets us out of wars? Love or hate? It's, I mean, love isn't a box of chocolates. Love isn't letting somebody get away with something, because that's just weakness. Love is going along with natural law, I think.
Well, that's what Tim Beck just saying: right thoughts, right words, right actions.
100%. That's natural law.
Yeah, I understand.
Is it the right thing to do? It doesn't matter if you are a Jewish person or a Palestinian. It doesn't matter. Are you killing a fucking baby? You are. Then you're a cunt. Excuse my French. You are doing something wrong and against natural law, and I am going to say something. That's love, Nick. It's not hearts and flowers, and like Mark said, the hippie movement. It's, can I look at myself in the mirror if I don't say something or do something about that? Do you know what I'm saying? That's
I understand.
love.
I think the way I was saying it, and the way what I've seen is people my age that have a different concept of love. Oh, giving roses and just I've seen what they do down there. Like they didn't really achieve anything. Okay, they might create like energy, but as the love will save the day, you're not really saving the day at all. You're really just pouncing around taking drugs. You know what I mean? It's that sort of stigma. But I think what you're talking about is more or less what I would describe as a universal love. It's a love that a lot of people have not really seen with their eyes because they got the Instagram filter in front of them. Would you mind if I smoked? Is that all right?
Oh, do what you want, mate.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Oh, that's right. That's cool. But yeah, I see what you're I see what you're saying. I understand. I think the way I said it was I think it should describe the people there. I think it's just a purpose of just having a rave, but they call it love to save the day. But I thought there should be like a whole meaning to it.
It's absolutely fine because words have become weapons. They've also had their meaning taken out of them on purpose. But if you go back to the true meanings and, you apply the true meanings to when you say them.
Sure. Yeah.
You get closer to what Ego's saying and Tim was saying. It's a natural law. Is it right or is it wrong? We all know right from wrong, don't we? We all know right from wrong. Come on.
Yeah, sure.
You get that horrible feeling when you've done something wrong, don't you? And that's because you're not aligning with natural law.
No, I understand completely. Yeah, I may sound like a bit of an old man when I make that statement.
No.
Honestly, Nick, Mark said it when he was on the Richie Allen show 10 years ago, and I cringed. But I flipping get it now. He's 100% right. That one there. That one.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's true. Yeah. But it does.
It's true.
I think we've been conditioned to cringe at that because it is the answer. Yeah. So we cringe because we've been taught to cringe at the answer because they don't want us to have the answer. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. I understand the way you put it. It's like a universal love. I think that's a very important thing. I understand the concept of it. But people have different concepts of all like different interpretations of all different sort of things, So
we've probably got to go back to the source, haven't we?
I think
like I say, does it earn a place on our blank bit of paper?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, we could say all of us in that room was probably like one love, one consciousness.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just we just did that sort of form of love. It's just interpreted a different way. So I mean, me and the missus, that's a different type of love. It's like an emotional love. So I understand.
We were a force to be reckoned with in that room, that David Icke room. We were a force to be reckoned with. There was nothing. If somebody had come in there and said, sorry, everybody, you've all got to put your masks on, we would have. The bond that we had in that room, there was nothing that would have shook that. And that's why they don't want us to come together and have love for each other, because there's nothing stronger. And there would have been nothing stronger than that bond in that room. There would have been nothing that anybody could have made us do that we didn't want to do in that room.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
we did it again.
No, you're back. It's a hell of experience, I think, being in that energy field in that room. I can't wait for the next one, if he will do another one. But yeah, I think it's also important, like, to go out and meet with you, meet with like-minded friends. I think that's one sort of friendship, love, as another form of love, I would say. It's it was a hell of experience, I would say. And I can't wait for the next one. We've seen each other next week, haven't we?
Yeah.
Keeping the fun going.
So we're going to see Thomas Sheridan and Maria Wheatley. Linda, are you going to be there? Linda's a friend of Thomas. I know you're going to meet him. Are you going to be at the talk, Linda? It'd be nice to meet up because Nick's going to be there.
And
Pete's going to be there.
Whisperoon, for those who don't know.
Yes.
Just wondering if Linda's going to be at the talk, because it'd be nice to see you next weekend.
Yeah. She said, be good to see you.
We can hang out, Linda.
Yes, eat too much food, as we always do.
As we always do. My diet goes up to the window at these weekends.
I'm the same, Liz.
It'll be great.
Right, I'm absolutely knackered, my love.
Yeah.
So I think, are you okay if we call it quits right now?
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for letting me come onto the show. I'm always happy to pop on
Tell me,
whenever you
mate.
need it, and I will get you on Hidden Underbelly at some point. As he's same wavelength as we are. You know, he's an interesting person, but like I said, he gets halfway through the show, he does get very stoned.
Well, it's his show. He
He's
can do what he wants.
We keep the show
We
together.
might
Yeah,
join him,
we're like-
Phil. We'll
No,
join.
I ain't going to join
No,
him.
no, no, no,
If
no.
I started joining him, I would go into the fetal position and have a panic attack. You know what I'm talking
Well,
about.
that'd break
I
Kelly.
understand.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
We're going to meet
It's just been-
Steve.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
This
that'll
would
be
a great
fantastic.
time. Great moments.
fantastic.
All right,
Brilliant,
love.
lovely.
So we'll see you, Pete and Linda, at the weekend. And thank you, everybody in the chat. Thanks for being absolutely bloody awesome. And
You're welcome.
well, so we won't be doing one next week because we won't be here.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We'll be in Glastonbury.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like to finish on green teas. They are petrified of us discovering how powerful we
Where is
truly
that?
are. We're very close.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
and green
very,
tea. I
very
have
good
sent
point.
the painting for your friend. I don't know how long it's
Oh,
going
it
to take
was
to
sent
get
a
there.
while ago. Yeah, I hope it's going to
It's
get
going
there.
to take a while.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it gets there. Anyway,
Anyway,
thank you so
love to you
much.
all. Thanks, Nick.
So, yeah, Nick.
Thanks, Ben, earlier.
So if you're not subscribed, go and subscribe to Nick's channel. Subscribe to our friend Pete's channel. And who else has got a channel? Go and subscribe. Channels.
Yeah, and then get loads of other people to subscribe to
To
ours
our
as well.
channel.
Yeah.
And we'll just keep
All works in one.
well,
Yep.
if you keep turning up, we'll keep doing it. So you've only got yourselves to blame.
Yeah.
So
Right, let's go.
I was going to say, get the thing.
Oh, Christ.
This is our theme tune now. Watch everybody leave really quickly before we start.
Right.
Watch the numbers go down. Watch. It's on 18. It's on 18. Well, there's 2 gone. Come on, everybody. Write the lyrics in the bloody chat. Gnomes in cars. There was gnomes. Gnomes in cars. Gnomes in cars. The gnomes in cars.
What is going on?
Gnomes in
Gnomes in cars. There was some gnomes in cars.
Gnomes
In
in
cars.
cars.